Well, we're here. One more show to go here on 3 and Out. Kevin, BJ, and Ben, as Ben knocks over his light. He's trying to go John Cena mode today. Again, can't see me on the stream as we start the final 3 and Out. A lot to get to on the show. Going to have some special guests stopping by. We'll hear from Tommy Bowden, talk a little college football him. So it is going to be a sad day. It's going to be a good day, though. And we're going to talk sports as well on the show. Bud Ellis will join us coming up here on 3 and Out as well. So plenty to get to as we go throughout the final 3 and Out, fellas.
And before we get to all that, did you hear how are we going to just skip past how they finished second down? I mean, I know there's a lot of talk about, obviously Ben is constantly repping the Gators, understandably so. People know that I'm a Florida State fan and, grew up watching Ben make plays against the Seminoles. But Kevin, countless people over the years, and I'm talking about for years, have said, who is Kevin a fan of college football wise? Now, I want to say this.
It means I'm doing my job
right. Right. You are the consummate professional in terms of covering every team, giving every team the same, benefit of the doubt and coverage and interest. But we've all known, and everybody's always guessed, and it's been funny because people will call up and go, I know what it is. Kevin's a Tennessee fan. Or I think you've joked before that you've been everything from a Georgia fan to an Auburn fan to a South Carolina fan to an LSU fan to an FSU fan to a Miami fan. But no one has ever guessed it. No one has ever guessed it. And so Christian,
obviously people that really know me know what it is.
Christian, right, but Christian gave you the opportunity over the final weeks and you just didn't want to address it?
Just trying to stick to my integrity.
Talk to him, but no.
No, because look, there's a lot of people listening now that'll be like, see, I knew now it just invalidated everything you said.
That's okay, hold on a second.
No, because people will say, why won't you just say? It's because I'm trying to give my opinion and not have it tainted by your opinion. So if you think, he's just saying that because it's not, I feel like I've covered everybody pretty equally and fairly at the end of the day. And Lord knows there are radio show hosts, maybe some that'll be in this time slot soon, who aren't going to hide their fandom about college football. And that's just not me. I try my best to not come on and give what could be perceived as a homer take, or you're just saying that because you hate on this team or that team.
What I'm saying is everybody, or not everybody, but I would guess a lot of people who are fans of sports grow up as fans of teams.
Sure.
And sometimes you're fans of players or you're fans of leagues or you're fans of multiple teams. But for the most part, you have a team you grew up with. My dad went to Florida State. I used to live in Tallahassee. I remember being in my house in my grandma's house watching Ben Troop make plays.
No, you are being modest.
Florida State.
For those of you who don't know when it comes to BJ, two things BJ wants to do if he's riding with you. One, he wants to control the radio. I don't know what that is with him. It's always you get 2 songs, I get 2. No, I get all the songs in my car. No, but I had the pleasure of going to Tallahassee, the capital city with BJ. You get about 5 miles out of Tallahassee, and he turns into somebody different.
And we had a good time, did we not?
Can you smell that in the air? You want to go here? You want to go?
Time.
But I will say this. For Kevin to have done this for 22 years.
And
I'm actually a little bit shy. I'll be a week shy of 22 years.
Well, that's 22
but I'm
years.
counting.
Nobody knew.
The fact that nobody knew and it never leaked, that there are 2 people. Listen, if you want to get something done and keep a secret, there are 2 people you want to tell it to. Kevin and Greg Sankey. It's not going to get out. No one's going to know.
Is it a bad thing that Kevin Thomas could keep a secret?
No. It's a great thing.
What I'm saying is,
if you wanted to get out, just tell BJ.
Yeah.
Because everybody going to know.
But what I'm saying is, it's fun to talk about the history and tradition of your teams. I've told this story before, but Ben, your game in 2003, the Florida State game, my grandmother was the most passionate Gator fan you would have ever met and loved the Gators. And my dad went to Florida State, and we're all Florida State fans. And in 2003, and we're living in the same house, Ben scores what appears to be the game-winning touchdown. Ben, you had an incredible game in 03, over 100 yards, going off. And it was like 50 or 40 seconds left. You score back of the end zone, and the Gators go up in the swamp. It's going crazy. And my parents and my grandma are yelling back and forth at each other. I'm going to get out of my house. And my grandma's running through the house doing the Gator chomp. And JT and I, my brother, are going, Ben Troop's destroying us. Someone guard Ben Troop. And not only here we are, doing radio, but when you first came down here, you stayed with my parents while you were looking for a place in that house, in my grandma's house, which is just crazy to think about.
Small world.
To think about all that. But, you think about everybody has memories of their teams growing up. I mean, Kev, I think about, we were talking about Georgia Tech split national championship yesterday. We're talking about
that was I held it to the end.
I mean, Calvin Johnson,
five downs,
and
Kevin was like, go ahead,
and Robbie got high, and I mean Josh Nesbitt.
Yes.
I mean, come on, man, Georgia Tech, one of the great programs in college football.
This is what you can appreciate about. This is what you can appreciate for those of you who don't understand the significance of who Kevin's team is. Me and BJ openly talk trash about our teams. The kind of,
and it came around to get me.
Yes,
y'all didn't make a bowl game.
Exactly. Yeah. Florida don't make a bowl game, and I tell BJ that day, you better hope that Florida State don't miss a bowl game, and they miss the bowl game the next year. But the love that Kevin has for his team, and when I say love, I mean the honesty that will go on. I will talk about it on the show, but Kevin gives some gems when it comes to his squad, because true love of a team is to be critical.
But I just want to be clear too.
Yes.
All of us. Ben, you're one of the great Gators of all time. All of us can be objective about other teams and have been while having a team.
No. This is how it usually goes. You ask Kevin about Florida, I think they're gonna be good. You ask BJ about Georgia Tech, I mean they're gonna be good. But ask BJ about Florida State, oh no. Ask him about because what happens is because
you can't even watch.
I'm not doing it. I know my limitations, and I'm not doing it, especially when I live and die with every single play. BJ, I didn't know this about you with Florida State. I know you were a Florida State fan, but I didn't know how crazy it was for you because your mom and my mom share a common denominator. That's called being disrespectful. I told you to not call me when the game was going on. Don't send me anything. What my mama do? Did you just see what happened?
Yeah,
No, mama.
Please don't text me. I'll open up my phone and it'll say, "Oh my gosh, they're struggling." Or,
no.
We had a great
listen. The greatest feat in life is to root for Georgia Tech, and people think you root for Georgia. It don't get much better than that.
Hey, Kevin, how many times have you been called a Georgia?
A lot. I've been called a Georgia homer a whole lot.
And Kevin just go. And his kids go, bite your tongue. Let's go, son.
But I also think I speak for all of us. Everybody now is going, all of us love college football.
Yes.
And the student athletes and the players.
The
programs.
BJ, the greatest days on the show, it's a bunch of them. Another team that Kevin roots for, is going to go unnamed. No, it's bad. I'll say it's alma mater. A rival of them comes in here one day. I'm not going to say the school.
West Georgia.
And this is the thing, right? Kevin can see him, and Kevin goes, just keep walking, Oh, he's coming over here. He gives us the West Georgia hats to put on. And Kevin looks at me like, hey, it's not a shot. I ain't putting on this hat.
Yeah, we're putting on the gear because this is great.
And when people ask, how deep does it go? That's how deep it goes. I'll hold it. I'm gonna be cordial. I'm gonna be respectful. I'm gonna take the picture, and that's it. I mean, the fact that I'm holding this
I think I put it behind my back.
because that's what
I appreciate the job he was doing.
BJ always asks me, man, why don't you get into coaching? Because I guarantee you, who's gonna call my phone? Hey, Florida State, hey, Ben, come. No, not doing it. Georgia call my phone. Hey, Ben. No, not doing it. Because it's almost like, man, I'm.
You know how many people I've known had said, look, I would pay money to see Ben in a Georgia jersey, and I'm like, Ben's not going to do it.
I'm not doing it.
That's happening.
That's not because
he said, why don't you just make a bet? And if he loses, because Ben will not agree to even bet.
And I listen, yes, I have 3 children. My son plays quarterback. Wherever he wants to go, I'm gonna support him. But if he's trying to, he picks certain school, I'm gonna say, son, you're not
gonna be Emmett Smith up there.
Never in life. Listen, and the thing about Emmett, right? Emmett do all this buddying up with freaking Kirby. Where his son go? Not Georgia. What you doing that for? Like the one thing BJ helped me understand is, dude, you don't do certain stuff. When you are certain players, you don't put on Georgia stuff. Like, what is you doing, Emmett?
I mean, you did put on garnet and gold at the draft. I mean,
that was not garnet and gold. That was plum. And I'm gonna say that to the end. That was not. But that's what I'm saying. It's almost like certain colors, you can't even put them together anymore. It's almost like, but I will say this. We are true fans of college football because we are honest about our teams. We don't do that sugarcoating stuff. We don't even let other people try to even mention nothing positive when it comes to your team. Just give me the worst possible scenario.
But all I'm saying is, and again, I say this for Kevin, for you and me,
yes,
the love of college football, the appreciation for the student athletes, the appreciation for their sacrifice, the appreciation for, so many people do so much to make the sport what it is. And Ben, I've heard you say before, right? Like when you love the student athletes, college football, Florida, and you can love all those things and still talk about college football objectively and still break down this game. But all of us are fans.
Yeah.
I'm sure everybody listening's got a team or a player or a coach, or a league that they like. And it's just fun. And it has been. I mean, think about it over the years with all the fandoms in the office of coming in saying, "Oh, we're going to lose."
I don't think there are two people.
What's Georgia, Florida been like for you the week? I mean,
there are no. I don't think there's anybody in the office that roots for the same team. That's how serious it is. But I will say, I mean, BJ and Kevin, you guys make it fun because at the end of the day, I have to act like stuff don't bother me. I go to Florida, Georgia. They go freaking Champ Bailey wearing his gold jacket out there, and they go Champ Bailey walk by him like I didn't see him. I'm not talking to nobody. Sorry, Champ, can't do it because I want to be able to. I go to a Florida Georgia game with Jim, and I went to the mall. Okay, Jim's up there at the gym. Jim was up there in the press box. I'm in the mall holding people and I'm in the mall. People looking at me like, "You don't want to go to the game?" No, they sold out. So I just know that there aren't too many things in this life outside of your family, man, that you just love deeply. And the problem is, you go, dude, they don't give me anything. But listen, from the Kevin Carters and the Emmitt Smiths and all the Gators that went on to do big time stuff, they say, dude, it ain't nothing like college, man. It don't get better than that because the fact that, people have to be, we have to talk each other off a ledge every freaking weekend. Whether winning the game it feels just like losing it, especially if it's, hey man, you see, we almost lost. That's called a win. Or as Kevin would say, hey man, we almost beat them. That's called a loss.
Winning, you're allowed to exhale and go, oh my goodness. Losing is like it stays with you. But I will say this too, for the Georgia Tech. But Kevin represents Valdosta State now.
Yes. Oh. I mean, when people get to talk about Title Town, throwing that word around, and Kevin go, "I'm sorry."
I think he corrected you the other day.
He did. I mean, listen, from the high school to the college. I mean, all things.
Ben says, "I'm sorry, y'all have signs up in y'all's town that says Title Town."
I mean, do you got 30 for 30s? Do you got documentaries? Exactly. Do you got Netflix specials? I'm just saying. I mean, coming up 75 north. There it is, off to the Rizite. You better act like I used to stop at Valdosta coming back from Florida back when gas was 78 cents a gallon. That will never happen again.
Oh yeah, that was absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
Again, we've got a lot to get to here on the show. We got some special guests that are going to stop by as we close out the show, and we'll reminisce about some things as we wind it down as well, and look ahead to what's coming in the future. But a lot of special guests coming up here on the show, but we'll talk with Tommy Bowden, former Clemson head coach, college football analyst. And hey, we are on the precipice of the season. It starts tomorrow night, Thursday night football, 5 straight days of football. He will join us next. We're glad you're with us. Thanks for making us a part of your day. Here it's 3 and Out on the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Good to have you back. Here it is, 3 and Out. Kevin, BJ, and Ben. College football really starts the weekend tomorrow as we kick off 5 days of college football: Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. And joining us here on the program, former Clemson head coach, college football analyst Tommy Bowden joins us here on 3 and Out. Coach, welcome. How are you?
Good afternoon. Hope y'all are doing well.
Yes, sir. Doing fantastic. You look at the start of week 1 here in college football. A lot of big games to start out the week.
Yeah, there is.
Yeah, absolutely. In week 1, which do you think, if I had to make Tommy Bowden pick one, what's the biggest game on the docket for you this weekend?
Golly, man alive. You know, it'd probably be Oregon and Georgia, simply because Georgia's defending national championship, and Oregon's got Bo Nix, got a little SEC flavor, back with Oregon. But I think that might be the biggest one. And I think LSU, Florida State had to pick a close second with Brian Kelly going to LSU, and then Florida State's performance last week. Those two.
Coach, with Georgia, you have to replace 15 draft picks. You, of course, have a ton of talent still, but how do you expect them to be this year coming off of the first national title in 40 years?
Well, I like you said, when you look at college football, the team with the best players usually win. And when you look at recruiting the last 5 to 8 years, it's been Georgia, Alabama, Ohio State, Clemson, Oklahoma. And those are the teams that are usually in the playoffs. So Georgia, you mentioned the fact they lost a lot of players, but they have a lot of good players stacked up that got some great experience last year, last spring, preseason. So I think they'll respond well. The biggest thing is, can they handle success? Alabama has proved that they can. Clemson has proved that they can. Now Georgia's got to cross that hurdle. There's never been an issue for Florida, for Kirby Smart until this year, and how he handles his team's success.
And, Coach, I mean, you mentioned Clemson. I mean, people consider them having a down year last year, and they won 10 games. No, they did not go to Charlotte and play for the ACC championship game. How do you see them faring this year, especially with a guy in DJU who's going to have to play a lot better than he did a year ago?
I think this is going to be the key. I think Clemson University will be in the college football playoff if DJ 60%, and then he throws 5 interceptions or less. If he's the 12-game starter. So if he throws for over 60%, and then his interceptions can be under 5 or under, then I think they will definitely be in the college football playoff. Their defense is that good. Their talent level is that good. But they've got to have a better, more consistent performance from him, I think, to get to the playoffs.
Tommy Bowden joining us here on 3 and Out. Coach, how much do you think Clemson will miss Brent Venables this year?
Watching the bowl games, not much. I thought it was an excellent performance by the new defensive coordinator in their bowl game. Now, I know that was just one game, but Brent Venables, one of the things that made him so marketable, one of the reasons Dabo paid him so much money, and a lot of other people would, is because he consistently performed at a high level and a high standard year after year after year. Whether he can do that, I think that's going to be the test. So, that remains to be seen, but if the new guy doesn't back up year after year after year of top-notch defenses, then he's going to be missed. But we won't know until a year or two.
Staying there in the ACC, Clemson, even though they weren't in the title game last year, has been the standard. Whether it's Miami, whether it's NC State, I know you mentioned Florida State. Is there a team that's closing the gap, you think, or could be a viable contender, Pitt, maybe to win the ACC this year, or is Clemson the clear favorite?
Well, I think Clemson's the clear favorite. All the teams you mentioned would have a chance. Miami, Florida State. The team that I like the best, and it's simply because their quarterback would be NC State. I happened to watch some one-on-one film of their quarterback, Devin Leary, this summer. I just watching his footwork, the way he threw the ball, his mechanics, his accuracy, the way the ball came off his arm and hand. I was really impressed with him. His statistics back it up, but I like NC State, the number of defensive players they got back. They finally got over the Clemson hurdle, but I think that quarterback, there's a lot of good quarterbacks in the ACC. I happen to think he might be a little better than Sam Hartman. I would pick him right now as the number one guy going into the preseason, but I think they would be the team that, since they did last year and they've got the trigger puller back, I like NC State.
And, Coach, even sticking with NC State, I mean, as you mentioned last, you finally got over that Clemson hurdle, but NC State will lose to a team that they're better than. Do you think Coach Doeren going to have those guys, focus week in and week out to do what, Pitt and, and Wake Forest was able to do last year and just shock everybody in the ACC?
Well, I think that's going to be the key. That's the one thing that he has not done while he's Dave Doeren. He hasn't put those back-to-back seasons. I know he's really challenged his team, and until he can talk about it all he wants to, and the media can write about it, until they do it, though, you never know whether he's got the chemistry, he's got the leadership on his team to do it. I think a lot of it comes from the maturity in the team leadership. Looks like they have a lot of that back, but we're going to have to play the season to find out. But they've got to get over that hurdle. They have not done it in the past.
Tommy Bowden joining us here on 3 and Out. Coach, obviously you've seen many variations of college football as we continue to go through expansion and all of that. 5 years from now, Coach, where do you see this thing with, the Big Ten talking about going to 20 teams, the money disparity that you see between the top two conferences and everybody else just to, play the game financially? Where do you see this thing headed in 5-6 years, and how drastically different, if much, do you think the sport will look like in 5-6 years' time?
Yeah, here's a couple of things I think will happen. I think we're going to see the top 60 teams. The Power 5 conferences, there's about 12 teams per conference. There's going to be a 60-team, right around there, 60-team pull away from the NCAA. They'll get their own commissioner. He will formulate. They will not run under the guidelines of the NCAA. Then there's going to be another 60 teams, roughly around there, to give you 120, 130 teams that there are in Division I football. I think they'll have their feel for the NIL and the transfer portal. There will be restrictions on both. I think the amount of money and the restrictions on guidelines on transfer portal, when you can do it and how many times you can do it and where you can go. But in 5 or 6 years, I see a commissioner. I see the NCAA being a non-factor in these top 60 teams, and it'd be like the old NFL and AFC and NFC in NFL football.
Coach, in terms of this year, what 4 teams do you have making the playoff?
Well, there's the Alabamas, the Georgias, the Ohio State are your normal 3. The surprise team that I think could possibly be Utah. We mentioned the games this week. It should be a great game between Florida and Utah. But I think Utah, the success they had last year, will have an opportunity to be kind of a sleeper team that come up and join the Clemson, Ohio State, Georgia, Alabama. Those normal teams that have recruited well are going to be there again. A Cinderella team could possibly be Utah. I think Clemson's got a great chance to jump back in the college football playoff.
And, Coach, I mean, I know we've been talking about Clemson a lot. If Clemson can find a way to get back to their winning ways, when I say winning the ACC, if they only have one loss, do you see – and winning the ACC, do you see them being one of the Final Four teams?
Depends on who they lose to. If NC State is clearly the second best team and they lose to NC State, because I think the ACC this year is losing a little bit of traction behind the SEC and the Big Ten. So I could see 2 teams coming from those 2 conferences and the ACC getting left out. So if Clemson loses a game, I think it's really going to be difficult for them to get into the college playoffs because of right now the strength of the Big Ten and the SEC.
Tommy Bowden, former Clemson head coach, joining us here on 3 and Out. Coach, really appreciate the time. Thanks so much.
It's full speed ahead now. Y'all enjoy it.
100%. Tommy Bowden joining us here on 3 and Out as, again, the season really kicks off starting tomorrow, Thursday night college football, and we get 5 straight days of it to soak it in and really get things going in a big, big way. We've got more to come. We're talking Braves baseball. Boy, the Braves and the Rockies, you thought maybe an easier turn in the schedule. Didn't get it done last night, even though the Dodgers helped you out. You didn't help yourself. We'll talk some Braves baseball. Bud Ellis will join us next. It's 3 and Out on the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Well, the Braves didn't help themselves out last night in any way. The Dodgers did their part for the Braves, beat the Mets. The Braves couldn't beat the Rockies. And our next guest will know how kind of funny this is because I've said long, and I've told him since I first probably started talking sports with him that my adopted team B was like the Colorado Rockies. So kind of funny that we come to this point in the proceedings where our last show, the Braves were playing the Rockies, and the Rockies beat the Braves last night. But Bud Ellis joins us here on 3 and Out. Bud, man, welcome to the show. How are you?
It is good to be on with you boys. And yeah, I mean, the Rockies are trying to make themselves relevant in the National League East. They beat Max Scherzer on Sunday. They beat Max Fried on Tuesday. And that was, I'll be honest with you, for a team that's on a 98 win pace in the heat of a great pennant race, last night's game was an absolute dog, man. It felt like watching the 2016 Braves, to be honest. And that's not a good thing if you're a Braves fan.
Well, but I've had this question, and it's one that nobody's had a good answer to, but you look at Acuna, still in and out of the lineup at times. They're trying to save him. You're playing with Michael Harris. You've got, obviously, Spencer Strider. You got Vaughn Grissom. I mean, these are three guys and an injured Acuna who are playing big roles on your baseball team. Is it not fair potentially to expect, even as good as this Braves team is, that three of your biggest pieces might be hitting the wall here in the next couple of weeks trying to push through?
I mean, if you told anybody in spring training that Michael Harris would end up playing 120-ish games for you and Vaughn Grissom would end up coming up and playing a big role in the final 7 weeks of the regular season, I think there is a part of you that if you looked at it from a truthful standpoint, you'd be like, oh boy, did things kind of go off the rails? Because you're talking about two kids who were teammates last year at Rome. And I mean, it is fair to wonder that. We've kind of seen Vaughn Grissom come back down to earth a little bit. Now certainly, a 0 for 12 skid that he broke last night and had a pretty nice game is not cause for concern. Everybody's going to have an 0 for 12 or a 1 for 18 over the course of a long season. I just think, and again, I always talk about, the instant reaction and people tend to look at baseball almost in a football style context of every game is the end of the world or every game's the greatest thing that ever happened. And it's unique. It's such a long season. You just can't be wired that way until you get into late August, early September when the games carry so much magnitude. And it was a little jarring last night to watch what looked like a little bit of a lifeless team. Now, there's a myriad of reasons why that happens, and it happens to everybody over the course of a long season. But I think if you're the Braves, you'd really like to see them come out and do what they couldn't do that last night, and that's take advantage of scoring opportunities, especially early in the game, get a lead, and try to get some momentum. Because while this is only their second 3-game losing streak of the season, I'll be honest with you, it's a rotten time to have any type of losing streak with the Mets playing at a 102-win pace.
But I want to ask this, understanding that the Braves are only, 3 games out, and, it could be a very productive rest of the week for the Braves in that regard. But we've talked about the NL East, and understandably, given what's happened the last couple of years, but is it quote unquote okay if the Braves don't win the NL East and are the first wild card team in? I mean, can you still, in your mind, is it still viable to make a run at the World Series if they don't win the East?
I think, and this is just my opinion, and I know people are going to agree or disagree with that, but if the Braves are going to not win the National League East, I would almost rather that get decided before the final 6 games of the year, because obviously the Mets play the final weekend of the season here in Atlanta. If the Braves leave Atlanta and go to Miami for the final series of the regular season with a shot to win the division, and obviously it's going to be, all hands on deck, I'd almost rather them lose the division by 7 or 8 games, as bad as that sounds, because then you can line up Max Fried to start the opener of the wild card series, and you can have whoever starts the second game. And look, at the end of the day, if you're going to go do what you did last November, you're going to have to beat the Dodgers again. And yes, a 5-game series is frightening, especially when you have to start the first 2 out there and they've had a week of rest. But I'm going to have to run through the Dodgers and the Mets anyway. You'd prefer not to have to play the wild card series, but you would be at home. if you sweep it, you can really set your pitching up almost exactly the way you would want to anyway. But to Kevin's point, guys hitting the wall and all that bye is really going to be, you think on the surface, beneficial. Now, I know some teams, they play every day and build momentum, and baseball's different from other sports that way. But I don't think it's a death knell by any stretch of the imagination if the Braves finish second in the East. And depending on how it shakes out, it might actually be beneficial, because if you're 7 or 8 games out going into the final 6 games of the year, and you want to skip Max Fried or throw Max Fried 3 innings or Kyle Wright 3 innings, it's almost like, back in, when you would win the division early anyway and take a few days to kind of give the starters a little bit of a break. We joke about the hangover lineup the day after the Braves points the division. You could almost do that for a handful of games. But if you have to redline this to game 161 or 162 and you fall 1 game short or 2 games short, then I think it becomes really problematic, because then you got to turn around, get up for a big series at home. And then, of course, if you win that, you got to fly all the way across the country and play a team that's 50-something games over 500.
And but that being said, with a guy like Snit, who's seen it all, done it all, obviously has been incredible since him and Anthopoulos been tied to the hip. It's got to feel good knowing if he decided, it's going to come down to strategy. And we knew this NL East was going to be top to bottom, the hardest division in baseball. At what point do you start saying to yourself, all right, we kind of can see we're not going to win this thing. We start trying to apply that strategy you just named.
Yeah, I think as long as they have a mathematic chance, I think they're going to put the hammer down, because at the end of the day, I mean, if you end up in the wild card series, let's say you backed off for a little bit and, you're taking advantage of nights like last night. You're going to kick yourself if you end up hosting Philadelphia, for example, and you got to face Wheeler and Nola, 1-2 out of the gate, or Milwaukee, and you're facing, Burns and Woodruff 1-2 out of the gate. That's going to be a rough ride, whether you're at home or not. But I do think if it does get to a point where the Braves are pretty much mathematically out of it, or pretty much common sense out of it, if you're down, 7 games with, 9 to go, even though you got 3 against the Mets, I think it just depends on how the next, 2.5 to 3 weeks shake out, because that Mets schedule is so easy. It is the easiest schedule in baseball by a country mile once they finish the series with the Dodgers. And the Braves, they have the West Coast road trip. Seattle's fighting to break their playoff drought. San Francisco's never easy. And you do have 7 games left with Philadelphia. You could conceivably face Wheeler and Nola 4 times in those 7 games. So the Braves are going to have to keep playing well. I said it a couple of weeks ago, last time I was on with y'all, that, at the end of the day, the Braves are probably going to have to play, almost kind of out of their minds the way they've played since June 1st to win this division. Part of that's because how good the Mets have been. Part of it's because of the schedule. And at the end of the day, if you have to run that to game 161 or 162, and then you've got to turn around 2 days later and say, let's just say Wheeler and Nola, you're going to have to expel pretty much everything you have to get through the wild card series. Now, that's not to say the Braves are going to go belly up. The Braves could go into the playoffs as a wild card and win the World Series. I really believe that. But it is a little bit of an easier ride if you win the division title, and then you've got that bye, and you can set everything up exactly the way you want.
Bud Ellis joining us here on 3 and Out, and Bud, obviously today the last 3 and Out, and BJ and I were talking. I mean, this kind of a ironic little circle here that we've gotten to. I joked about the Braves and Rockies, but you told me off there, and I did not know this, that my first day in South Georgia on the radio was September 11th of 2000. I've said that it's very easy to remember because 1 year later, we tragically know what happened. You said, hey, I moved to the coast, and my first day was September 11th of 2000 before you got into sports writing. So you and I have talked a long time. You once mentored a young BJ Bennett in a newsroom at the start of his sports writing career. So the 3 of us, man, I feel like I've been talking Braves baseball with you for a long time, and I guess for 22 years I have. And I just want to say, man, I always enjoy our conversations, both on the air and away from the air. And I know you and I joke that sometimes the conversations away from the air were much more entertaining at times. But, man, I won't speak for BJ. I'll let him tell you in a minute. But, I mean, man, I always appreciate the friendship. I mentioned it on Twitter of, all of our conversations, just knowing you these past 22 years. And, maybe we'll make some time to get that late night Braves podcast going at some point. But, man, I appreciate your talks and all that we've had throughout the years, man. Thanks so much.
Man, thank you. I remember, I came down to St. Simon's and joined the publishing company. I had just gotten married. I was 27 years old, and I remember listening to you, you know, and I was like, oh, it's so cool. There's a sports talk station here in town, having no idea that after the terrorist attacks happened, that I would feel the desire to get back into the newspaper business. And lo and behold, there would be an opening right there in Brunswick, and being able to work alongside people like Murray Poole and Kevin Price just meant the absolute world to me. It was the highlight of my career. And, you know, I got into the newspaper business as a 17-year-old because someone took a chance on me at my hometown paper in Douglasville, Georgia. And I saw a lot of the hunger and a lot of the talent in BJ that people saw in me. And it was an honor and a blessing to be able to give him the opportunity. I'm actually looking at a picture right now in my Braves room downstairs of me, Murray, AP, and BJ on the field at Bazemore Hyder Stadium on December 20th, 2003, after we covered Camden County winning the state championship at Valdosta. And so many great memories being able to jump on with you guys and doing remotes and, you know, halftime shows at Glenn County Stadium and you know, the region basketball tournaments and baseball games and all the Braves talk through the years. And, you know, I was joking with my wife that I remember one time being on with you guys in our condo on St. Simons, and it was right before the region basketball tournament. And I was trying to juggle because I was holding a 5-month-old baby who was crying while I was trying to do my radio hit. And there was a 17-month-old sitting in the floor who was crying during the radio hit. And those two boys will be 20 and 19 years old in a few weeks. So we go back a long way. It's meant a lot to me, just, you know, the professional side, but more importantly, the personal side. And, you know, as someone who will be 50 in a few months, you know, the older I get, the more I value those friendships and those relationships. And I just can't thank you guys enough. It's been an awesome ride. I'm so proud of both of you and of Ben for what you've built down there. And, you know, bigger and better and brighter skies are ahead for all three of y'all. I know that.
And Bud, thank you so much. I mean, I appreciate your mentorship and giving me the opportunity you did. And I'll just say this, man, again, appreciate you so much. But that game in Valdosta, if I'm remembering correctly, was freezing cold. Kevin shaking his head. And I don't know why. Maybe it was because I just was, you know, oblivious. But I wore like shorts and a T-shirt to that game. And before we left, you guys were like, what are you doing? I said, no, I'm fine. And the whole second half, I'm drinking hot chocolate, you know, nearing hypothermia. So I remember that game. And that's crazy that you have that photo. But thanks for everything, man. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Man, it's been a blast. I remember Murray in the press box telling me, you think BJ's cold? You think BJ's cold? And I was like, I know he's cold. He's freezing. I'm freezing, and I have 4 layers on. But there are a million memories that I have of my time on the coast, and it's amazing how many of those memories intersect with you and with Kev, and in the last few years, Ben, being able to talk with you as well, and the perspective from your journey that you've been able to add. And it's just, you know, it's just been tremendous. And I'm so proud again of all y'all. I call y'all friends more than anything else. And can't wait to see what your next chapter unfolds. I know it'll be blessed with great success and great happiness.
But I got to say, man, I mean, obviously I haven't known you as long as, you know, BJ and Kevin, but I think the thing about you that I always appreciate is authenticity. When you get into this business, you always ask yourself, can I be me and talk sports? And then, Bud, you come on, I go, hell yeah, I can be me, and I'm going to be me. And we all share a love for them Braves, man. We all share a love for sport. But, you know, the way you know how glowingly you talk about your boys all the time, and, you know, you learn about things all the time. I think I know what Kevin and BJ are connected to. Here you are. You and Kevin connected way back. But I just want to say, man, thank you for just being you, almost giving me permission to be me, man. You've been the best.
Hey, I appreciate that, Ben. You're one of a kind. I remember watching you down some of those Georgia-Florida games going, oh, boy, they got to cover that dude. So it's been awesome, man. And I look forward to talking to you guys in the future. And, you know, again, wish you guys just the absolute best. You've provided such a tremendous service to so many people throughout the coastal region. And, think about all those high school kids who some of their fondest memories of their lives, you guys were there chronicling them. That's something I always remembered in my sports writing days. And I hope that you guys remember that in your broadcasting days as well, because those memories, people will carry those with them forever and ever. You may not meet people, you may not know of those stories, but they'll have those stories about you, and that's something all three of you should be very proud of.
We absolutely are. Bud, man, pleasure. We will talk to you at some point down the road, man. Appreciate it as always.
All right. Take care, my friends. We'll see you soon.
Bud Ellis joining us here on 3 and Out. And again, just way back in the Wayback Machine there is as we mentioned, BJ, all kind of interconnected there. As Bud and I have been talking sports for 20 years, and you actually worked with Bud way back when, and obviously everybody's grown and gone on to this and that and what have you. And we'll chronicle that later in the show. But I mean, obviously, Bud's been a guy that as we've done these last handful of shows, you start talking to people and you're like, "Yeah, gum, I have been talking to that dude for
every week for 20 years.
For a long
20
time.
years, right?
Yeah, for a long time. We appreciate Bud coming on. We got more to come. It's 3 and Out, Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Good to have you back here. 3 and Out, final show. Glad you're making us a part of your day. Streaming live, ESPNCoastal.com, 912-342-7184 if you wish to join us here in the final show and share your thoughts with us on the program as well. And we got special guests next hour. We have a couple of special guests as we go throughout the show today.
Got a secret guest.
Secret guest.
Who orchestrated the secret guest?
I don't know. I don't know who it is. Oh, I don't know who it is.
Kevin?
I didn't.
I don't know who it is. We'll find out.
Is it going to be AC?
It could be. I don't know.
Got a couple special guests.
Yeah, no, we got a lot of special things lined up here as we go throughout the remainder of the show. We'll have Braves coming up for you tonight against the Rockies, so we'll still promo that going up as well. But just to dovetail off our conversation with Bud, obviously you got to win some of these games against Colorado, or you're going to find yourself in a situation where you might just call it and play for the wild card at that point.
Your Rockies, while the Mets are losing to the Dodgers, after 20 years of you saying, "Yeah, I'm a Rockies fan." First, you're a Georgia Tech fan. Now you're a Rockies fan. Now the Rockies are keeping the Braves from making progress in the NL East. Braves have got to beat the Rockies. I think LA will do their thing. Braves got to win tonight.
I don't like the optimistic BJ. I want the old guy BJ. They're going to be fine.
We're coming right back. Hour 2. It is 3 and Out on the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Good to have you back. It is hour 2, final 3 and out. Glad you're making us a part of your day. We got special guests still lined up throughout the show, and the next 2 special guests. Well, this might be the most nervous 15 minutes of radio I've done in 22 years. Because Ben, you have my 2 sons standing next to me on the show, and they have agreed to do take 3 with you. So I don't know what's about to happen, but Ben, take it away.
This might be the best take 3 I'm ever gonna do. This one, the only take 3s I ever get to ask some questions. So now that I got, listen, I got the king here, I got the queen here, I got the 2 princes right here. So let's get right to it. Both of you guys are obviously big time baseball players, but the world wants to know who's the better baseball player.
I am not answering that. Eli, take it away.
Well, you have to answer it because you don't take 3.
Whatever. Eli.
It's me.
There you go.
No, hold on. Wait a minute, Rick. Why is he the better baseball player than you?
He started when he was 6 playing actual organized baseball. I only started until I was 8.
So it's because he started early, you saying that's why he's better than you?
Yes, definitely.
The fact that Red is willing to admit that his brother is better than him.
Oh, he's not. He's being goaded into it right now for sure.
Exactly.
Now, this is something that everybody really wants to know. This is the biggest controversy on this show. You know, your dad doesn't like double fudge. Your dad believes in non-traditional wings, a.k.a. chicken nuggets. But we want to know, how in the world do neither of y'all like mac and cheese?
I had a bad experience with it.
Talk about it. You got to talk about it.
No.
Talk about it, Eli. What happened?
I was eating it one time, and I was just staying over somewhere, and I was only like, I don't know how old. And I ate a scoop of it, and I didn't feel too good, and I ate another scoop and puked in the bowl.
Now, hold on. We got to stay right there for a second. Now, Red, if you can remember this, did somebody scoop it? Did somebody scoop it out of a pan, or was it out of a pot? Because if it was out of a pot, that means it came out of a box.
A pan.
Oh, so it was actual mac and cheese, like
Yes,
really mac and cheese. Now I know that Eli said he had a bad experience. Do you guys believe in non-traditional chicken nuggets? I'm sorry, chicken strips.
No.
Wings.
They both like wings.
No.
Do you guys believe in non-traditional wings? You know what a non-traditional wing
You
is?
talk about chicken nugget.
It's a chicken nugget. It's a chicken strip.
Why order that when you can get wings?
Flats or drums?
And listen, because I'll never get this type of exclusivity to you guys again. Eli, when I first met you, you were a model. I saw the pictures. Why did you move on from your modeling career to become this great baseball player?
It's more fun. I don't have to do nothing.
What do you mean?
I mean, now, Red, you were obviously growing your hair out. I can see you growing.
I grew it out during the summer, and I cut it because of stupid school.
Whoa, wait a minute, hold on. Wait a second. Stay up, hold on. Because when I get excitement, I want you to stay there. Now, so you telling me if it wasn't for school, you would keep growing it out?
Yes, I would grow it out until my mom or him would make me cut it.
Now, listen, when it comes to rejoiners, we got all our kids have done them. The one that you did when you said the son of Kevin Thomas. Like, did somebody have to tell you to say that? Did you just tell Christian, man, give me the freaking music so I can say this?
Christian was not in the room. He was somewhere in the office, and Kevin Thomas was in there, and he played the music, and I just said the first thing that came to my mind.
Does it not feel weird to you to call your dad Kevin Thomas right next to him?
Why can't you just call me dad and I'm sitting right here?
It feels very weird to call him that.
Now,
I'm not gonna get to call him that.
Now, Eli, before we let you out of here, look. I mean, I gotta ask this to every kid I come across that has that aura that you. How does it feel to be you? How would you describe it?
Fun, I guess.
I mean, give us a little bit more than fun.
I don't know. I mean,
he doesn't know how to describe fun.
Well, Eli, you represent your brother, Red. How would you describe your brother to the fans?
Baseball, football, basketball. His favorite sport is baseball, and he plays too much video games.
Listen, this is once again, people. When you ask what makes us listen. Radio is just what we do. Who we are is on the show right now. We got the queen, we got the king, we got the offspring right here. This is the first time ever in life that Rhett has deferred to somebody else, saying somebody is better than him or something. I believe that he's been bribed before this show. I think Eli has bribed his brother. I do not believe Rhett 1 second when he says his brother is a better baseball player, because Rhett, no matter what, he was going to start earlier than you because, he's older than you. So he's going to start a little bit earlier. So you're saying without the head start, you will be better?
No, he just started at an earlier age.
That's what he's saying, yeah.
Yeah, if he would have started early, you would be better than him right now?
Yes, if he started when he was 10 and I started when I was 8, I'd definitely be better than him.
The modesty.
Sorry, Eli. Sorry.
Sorry, he's not sorry.
Not sorry.
Let's take 3. Hey, boys, come here. Get off the box. Come here.
I'm not on a box.
Let's take 3. Love you, boys.
Bye.
Oh, bye. Oh, you came in here to do take 3 and tear up the studio one more time. That's what we do. All right, let Mr. BJ come back in here. Appreciate it. I will see you guys at home a little later. No, it'll be later. All right. Get out of the studio. There's my 2. Hey, thank you, boys. Eli and Rhett, my 2 sons, doing the final take 3. And they both have the distinct, honor, challenge, or whatever, of having caused mass problems here over the course of my 22 years in radio. My older son actually shut the station off twice, not once, twice at various times where he was over by the equipment. This was when I was, BJ, I think we were up on a weekend and we were doing a show and he was maybe Saturday 5 morning, at the Saturday morning, maybe 5 at the time. And he walks over to the rack, which has all of our equipment in it. And he sees like the master power button glowing. He's like, I think I'll push that. Everything just goes down. And we freak out. And then he did it again like a couple months later.
Didn't it happen a couple
He
of
did
times?
it twice. And then, of course, my younger son, the talkative one, Rhett, he got us banned. He got the whole company banned on YouTube for about 3 weeks. So if you remember back in the summer when we couldn't do the show on YouTube, that was my younger son's fault. He got us banned. Sorry.
You got listen, you got to
it's all good now. He figured out how to go and broadcast live on YouTube, and that got us in trouble. So,
hey, awesome guys, a lot to be proud of.
Yes. I mean, there's nothing like listen, the greatest thing I think any dad wants is to have his offspring want to follow in his footsteps, and no one says when that's going to start. So he started early, Kevin, with the from getting a shutdown to got a shutdown, on the show and got a shutdown on the web. So they was 2 for 2.
But I wanted to ask you this because you're a coach, you're a scout, two very good baseball players, and I know y'all were both modest. And Rhett, you're talking about but both you guys are very good, very good baseball players. Your dad's been telling us about the success. I've seen. Hold on a second, Kev.
Okay.
Didn't you guys show me the championship rings? Don't we have championship rings?
They got 2.
Multiple championship rings.
Yeah, well, there you go. It's a one-upping game every time.
Already multiple championship rings.
The tradition has already begun, and obviously, Rhett, you didn't notice, but we already revealed who your dad, root for, who the house roots for in college. So you don't have to go around saying "Go Dogs" no more.
Oh, he's shaking his head at that.
Like that'll never raising them right in the Thomas household.
But it's amazing. I mean, it's just been amazing over the years, and so many memories, so many stories, and so cool to see you guys and see y'all come on and chat with your dad, and just an awesome moment.
And I think BJ is this would be year 9 of the show. So when we officially came here and started the show, they would have been 4 and 2. Yes, we know how math works. But yeah, just to show. Apparently we don't if we listen to the show on multiple times. But yeah, I mean, it's just been fun growing with the show. And as we were talking earlier, when you and I started way back when, and Bud was talking about it, like he barely had kids. You and I did not have kids. Neither you. When I first started, wasn't married. You weren't. Like, it's come full circle here over the course of the show. And again, appreciate you boys coming on take 3 here for the last show. Pretty cool.
Yeah, very cool. And just again, a lot of memories. It's been a it's been a family effort, and it's just been really neat. And like you said, I mean, over the years, you look around and go, where have the years gone? And it's just awesome to see everybody growing up. And Ben, I know you mentioned Yaya's birthday was yesterday, and it's just so much to think about, and just awesome to see you guys. Awesome to talk about everybody's families, and that was really cool.
Absolutely. Hey, we've got more to come. We have a special guest when we come back. You don't want to miss it. I don't know who it is. I was just told it was a special guest. It's 3 and Out on the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. What's the deal with our kids not like any guns like my dad? Anyways, I haven't played that one in a while, Ben. You were kind of like,
yeah, I was like, I ain't heard that in a minute, man.
Well, we said we had a special guest. BJ, I will give you all the credit for finding our next guest. Ben, we've had you on the show all these years, and you said Steve Spurrier was the coach I wanted. Ron Zook was the coach I needed. And we have Ron Zook on the phone right now. Why don't you say hello, Ben?
What's up, Coach? How's everything, man?
How you doing, my man, Ben? I ain't talked to you since you sent me the book. I tell you what, I've been meaning to call you anyway, and thank you. And it was hard for me to get the book away from my wife. I mean, she started on it, and it was, you did a great job. I'm really, really happy about it.
Coach, man, I mean, obviously, having you on, see, there go BJ and Kevin, man. I know what they're trying to do. But I just got to say, man, I appreciate you, man. I think sometimes when you're a young, player like myself, I needed that swift kick in my behind. And I think sometimes the conversation you had with my mom and just the type of man you were and all the conversations we've had and everything I've become as a man, not just as a player, Coach, I can't say thank you enough, because sometimes as a player, you don't know what you need because we think we know everything. But I know the first time you met me and the first time I met you, we just looking at each other in the weight room like, who is this? And you look at me like, who is that? And I just can't say thank you enough, Coach, because too often at times, I know you've coached a lot of players. I did my best to make sure you remember me. And obviously, you've done everything for me. So, Coach, I love you to death, man. I appreciate everything you've done. And like I said, you are a football coach to the end. I thought I loved football till I met you, but you definitely helped me reinvigorate that love I had for it. But everything I'm doing now has a lot to do with the conversation we had away from the game.
Well, I appreciate that, Ben. I really do. And you're too humble. You were a great player, a great person. And you know what? I guess my philosophy never changed, whether when I was coaching college or high school or the NFL. It was more important to me that in 10 years you respected me than like. You were a hard worker, and that's why you're a great player. Obviously, you're a gifted athlete. There's no question that I knew you were going to be successful in whatever endeavor you went into. But it was a lot of fun, and gosh, I can't believe it's been this long. But that was an exciting time, and I still look back as one of the most exciting times in my career.
Now, Coach, I mean, the thing about it is, right, when it comes to football, we understand it's X's and O's. We understand that it's about the game plan, but you taught me how to practice. You taught me how to approach the game. And I used to tell people all the time, I said, listen, the thing about Zook was this. He would be on the defensive field, and you would say something to me. And mind you, I got to turn my helmet and look at you. You would sprint all the way to me, and you would look me in my face like, who you think you talking? Because you always made sure that I remain humble, but you helped me understand the importance of team. Like, I thought I really knew what it was, but, having an 18-year-old quarterback my senior year, me being 21 and a senior, you helped me understand. I mean, you gotta look out for this guy, Chris Leak. But I'm telling you, people talk about All-American, people talk about All-SEC, people talk about John Mackey and all these type of things. I don't do none of that stuff because I ain't chased that type of stuff, man, when I was a player. But I said, let me tell you something about Ron Zook, man. You're going to be what you're supposed to be. You're going to do what you're supposed to do. And if you don't like it, you can come see him. But, Coach, I tell BJ and Kevin all the time, I said, I saw Coach in the weight room one time, and he was on the bench doing about 315, and he got up off the bench. And I don't know what Rob Glass was doing, but your booty wasn't there, Coach. I don't know if you've grown one since then, but I'm like, Coach, you got to get some meat back there, man.
Yeah, I'm not about the same size. I haven't changed much, but I tell you, Ben, it's and I think in coaching too, you always push the ones you love the most, and those are the guys that you want to see them be successful, and you have been, and you were then, and so I think it has a lot to do with your upbringing and what you went through as a young person growing up, and like I said, I had to fight my wife for that book, she loves all the players I coach, but I guarantee you now you got a special place in her heart after she read that book.
No, Coach, man, it was humbling to do. And when you think about writing a book, when you're trying to get every memory you can, you're trying to remember everybody you can when you're writing a book. And I just remember when it got to your section, in the book, I was trying to decipher, what's going to stand out the most, because we had such a great conversation. But the best one was when, the Shands Hospital one. I'm just a young, selfish individual trying to just do all I can. And when I told you, well, Coach, I was already on the list to go to Shands, and that's when you went off, kind of letting me know, man, it has less to do with you as a football player and more to do with you as a person. And here I am now, still doing service work, still, it's almost like I found my passion through football away from the field, just from the conversation we've had. So, I mean, it's the most humbling thing about it is you as a coach now, still telling me what I meant to you. Because obviously my mom, I used to have some of the conversations about my mom, which I said, Mama, he don't talk to you how he talked to me. He said, well, you have to go out there every single day. But Coach, I mean, on the bottom of my heart, man, I would not be the person I am without you. And like I said, I mean, I thought that football was just supposed to be able to take me to, places like, playing Tennessee and playing LSU. But here I am all these years later. It ain't about what I did with the Titans or the Bucks or the Raiders. I mentioned Florida. They said, man, tell me about Zook. I say, man, pull you up a chair, man. It's going to take a while. This man meant a lot to me. And like I say, there are very, very, very seldom people in this life that's going to be remembered. There are very, very seldom people that's going to be hard to forget. You just happen to be both of them for me. And all I can say is thank you, man.
Well, Ben, I appreciate that. I really do. And like I said, that's really one of the things, and just what you and I, with the relationship we had, what the game meant for both of us. That's what I worry a little bit about the game right now. Is it still teaching young people to get up when they get knocked down and to go through tough times when it's tough? And it's life. I mean, football taught me more about life than anything. And I just hope that we don't lose what the game is all about, and the teamwork, and that you have to have somebody helping you. And like we always used to say, there's nothing that's ever been accomplished by one. I mean, nothing. And the Heavenly Father is the only one. And after that, you got to have help. So anyway, that's kind of always been my philosophy.
Ron Zook joining us here on 3 and Out. Coach, I want to ask you, because we've had, Ben being on the show, we've talked a lot about his playing days, and he's talked a lot about, hey, Steve Spurrier and the rock star coach that he was. But he said, Coach Spurrier didn't like those tight ends a whole lot in terms of throwing in the football. He said, when you came in, did Ben make it a point to come to you and say, hey, Coach, we can catch the balls too?
Well, when I came in there, and I remember, I might have said this before, but when I came in, I remember our first recruiting. I got in there like the first week of January, and I'd been in the NFL, and it was, the one thing, you're trying to do everything in that first recruiting weekend, and I don't know whether I or other coaches or the recruiting coordinator, whoever, forgot to give our players name tags, and the players that were hosting, that were there helping. As they're getting off the elevator, I didn't know our players from the recruits. And I just turned to our coaching staff and I said, come on, man, we need them all. Go. It don't matter. Just learn their name and find their name. And whether they're on our team or whether we're recruiting them all, because we need them all. And it's something that, you always, when you're preparing for a weekend or something, you always want to make sure everything's right. I remember, just like it was yesterday, you guys getting off the elevator, I didn't know the difference between the players that were there and the recruits, and I just turned and said, hey, guys, we need them all. Just start recruiting. So, that's the way it is.
And, Coach, I know you back in the XFL these days. I know y'all kicking off 2023. I know you out there in Seattle, defensive coordinator. Talk about getting back in. Well, you never really left, Coach, but talk about, being in the XFL and how forward are you looking to, getting back out there?
The thing that's been fun for me, Ben, is the guy that's the head coach and the guy that's the general manager were the guys I worked for when I was the defensive coordinator of the New Orleans Saints. And the thing that's really fun, and I coached for a few weeks in the AAF. One of the coaches had some health issues, and the general manager asked me if I'd come and finish up for him. And these guys are all, it's just, they are so, I mean, their goal is to get to the NFL. That's all they want to do. And so they just have that fire, and it's, some of the times they lose that in college, and they lose it when they're in the NFL. It's a job. But these guys, they're excited. They're trying everything in practice. They're trying to impress. They're trying to learn, and they're just like sponges. They're going to do everything that you tell them, because they know that's giving them the best opportunity to get to the next level, and that's where they all want to go. So from that standpoint, it's a lot of fun. Obviously, you got to be simple. You don't get you don't have the time that that you have in terms of mini camps and all those kinds of things. But you keep it simple, you let them play fast, and let them play the game.
Ron Zook joining us here on 3 and Out. Coach, really appreciate the time. Thanks so much for joining us.
Well, thank you, and Ben, like I said, I love you, brother, and we gotta hook up. We gotta get together.
Man, I love you, Coach, man. We're going to definitely make that happen. Take it, listen. Take it easy on them boys out there, man. I mean, listen, you just a little bit more seasoned. I know you still got that fire in you. Tell them boys, don't take it personal. You do this to everybody.
That's right. All right, Ben, I love you, brother.
Yes, sir.
Thanks, you guys. See you. Bye-bye.
Ron Zook joining us here on 3 and Out. Coach, we had to do that in the last show. I lied. I knew who was coming on. But that was when BJ and I were talking about that. I was like, if we could try to get him, I know that you have talked throughout pretty much the entire time. I don't think you say a lot of things a lot. I'm not saying that in the worst way. I'm saying you say a lot of things over and over because they have meaning behind them. And BJ, ever since Ben has been on the show, whenever you talk about your time at Florida, Spurrier was the coach I wanted. He sat in my living room and recruited you. And you have said time and time, Ron Zook is the guy I needed to give me a kick in the rear end. So we thought we'd do that and get him on here the last show.
And you talked about it with him, Ben, but in writing the book, you said so many times that, I always had a passion for service, but Coach Zook in Florida helped me take it to the next level. And you are such a service-oriented person. You volunteer in so many different ways, mentor in so many different ways. And I know that story you were talking about with Ron Zook, you shared with us, and it's just so incredibly powerful. And that was really cool to hear you talk about, what Coach Spurrier and Coach Zook, all of your coaches have meant to you. But that moment where Coach Zook was saying, hey, this is what it's all about. And I know that's something that you've only taken to the next level.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times when you get a coach, you never ever know, like, it's always a deeper meaning outside of just the game, outside of just X's and O's. And I didn't know that me and him would have that type of bond because I learned tough love through Ron Zook. He gives you tough love, but it's love, none the same. He's a guy that he knows that, man, if I show him how much I really feel about him, if I give Ben an inch, he's gonna take a mile. Well, he didn't give me anything, but he gave me an opportunity, man, to really blossom as a person. And he's the first person that made me really understand, man, I'm not just a football player. Like, I got that from him, the head football coach in Florida. And hey, man, he made sure I understood that. He said, I'm not gonna give you any like slack. Not away from football, not on the field, not with your teammates, not with your friends, not with your family. And I remember after my last spring game, going into my senior year, we go back. We had a big cookout down there where all the freshmen live in Hall 95. And who gets out their car? Unscripted. It was Ron Zook. Because in his mind, that's what let us know. He really wants to know us. We was out there and we trying to talk football. He's like, man, just talk to me. Because I think the same way he wanted us to see him as Ron, the person, not just Ron Zook, the coach. The only way he could do that is by showing us. So Ron Zook is a class act, man. I know he's, late 60s now. That man don't coach till he can't coach no more. I'm happy that he's back doing it, man. But yeah, that dude always gonna have a special place in my heart, man. I mean, he helped me understand that life is much bigger than the moments and the memories. It's the moments and the memories that you create. And hey, we got too many to name. One day we will get a chance to sit down and just don't break bread together.
Hey, we've got more to come here. 3 and Out on the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. He loved the show. Bringing the heat. So we bring back, all the. It's so funny. We play some of these liners, and the reactions from Ben and BJ the last two. And I only say that because my youngest son, he did one recently, so it kind of sounds normal. But I mean, you have one, and you have one. Like that is the throwback machine, right? I mean, that is like way back to when we first started doing.
That's at least 4 years
3 and
old.
out. Yeah, at least that far from when they could talk to come on and do one of those things. So that's throwing it way back. We got special guests joining us here throughout this last show. We appreciate everybody being with us. Would you like to introduce the next guest?
Yeah.
I mean, you kind of know him a little bit.
A little bit. No, a great man. We have my brother, JT, who's been instrumental in everything I've done throughout my life, and wanted to tell some stories with him. But JT, my brother, with us on the line. JT, what's up, man?
What's up, man? How are you doing?
Doing great. Now, we started the show. We obviously revealed who Kevin's a fan of, and that was breaking news. But we were talking about 2003, Florida State, and Ben shaking his head already. But that was such a crazy game for you and I. I wanted to see if you could take us back from your perspective, because it's back and forth. Ben is just dominating Florida State. Had a couple of touchdowns, over 100 yards. And when he scored the touchdown with less than a minute left to go ahead, you and I are looking around going, we lost. Who is this Ben Troop guy? We can't stop him. Why won't they cover him? Mom and Dad and Mima are yelling at each other. She's running through the house doing the gator chomp. And you looked at me and said, no, we're still going to win. But wasn't that just crazy that was Ben Troop? And then years later, here's Ben Troop. And what do you remember about that game in that moment?
Man, I remember Dad like yelling at Mima so bad to stop. She was doing the chomp and running through the house. And then I remember us, me, you, and Dad both just cursing Ben, being like, this dude is the worst. He needs to go away. I just remember being so mad. And then I remember when, after he caught that touchdown, the camera panned to Chris Ricks. And I remember I looked down and I said, I see it in his eyes.
Ben, that is a true story. Okay. After your touchdown catch, I'm face down on the couch. I'm we lost. I can't deal with it. JT comes to me, and JT, I don't know. I don't know how old you were. He comes and looks me in the eye and goes, I saw it in Chris Ricks' eye. He's going to throw a game-winning touchdown pass. JT literally said that.
Yep, I mean, I believe it. I believe that JT said it. But JT, this is the thing, though, right? What happens with these situations is, right? I'll be like, JT smooth. The story is only good because you go to BJ and say, BJ, Mima, probably going through the crib or whatever she was doing. It's just, I think what's crazy about the whole situation is that's what football does to you. We look at people's eyes now. JT I saw it. I saw the twitch. That boy got cataracts. You ain't seen no twitch in his eyes, man. He got lucky. But at the end of the day, I can just appreciate this. JT, as many talks as we've had, we've never talked about the 2003 game. I remember, and it's funny, I remember when you weren't married and all these different things. We just having great talks. The only one that talks about this game all the time is BJ. BJ let me know. Yet when I asked BJ, did the refs do some things they probably should have done? BJ don't say nothing. But check this out, JT. When Miami played Florida State, I think Brevin Jordan caught the game with a touchdown. BJ came in on Monday and said, I don't want to talk about it because the refs cheated. I said, so wait a minute. The refs cheat now? Yep.
It was a throwback pass that was perfectly legal.
I'm just saying, at the end of the day, BJ be asking me to get PK Sam on all the time, and PK Sam looked like Peter Ward, little brother. But JT, look, because of you helped console your brother, and that's back when he was watching Florida State games, because he don't even watch them now. But I think you saved the day that day.
Stressful. We can't watch them. Way too stressful, man. We got too much going on in life. That's not about football anymore.
JT, I did want you to tell folks about this, because a lot of the stuff we've done over the years with Southern Pigskin, you were a leading part of for a long time, and it was amazing. When you were in college, you had a series that some people who have been reading Southern Pigskin for years may remember, called Pull Up a Chair, where you would call coaches and administrators and student athletes and basically ask 20 questions. And it became really, really popular. And what was amazing is, you and I would be going somewhere, or we'd be at home, and your phone would ring, and I go, oh, who's that? You go, oh, that's Vince Dooley calling me back. Hold on. oh, that's Bobby Bowden calling me back. Hold on. And you were, 18, 19, 20 years old, and you had that rolling. I mean, that was an amazing thing. And you were doing, a couple a week at least?
And I mean, that was your idea. It was brilliant. I remember us sitting around the dinner table when you came up with that idea, and he was like, I want you to do this. And so I just started cold calling the schools, and it got crazy because you involved me from the very beginning in everything you've done in our whole life, right? Like, you've been an amazing older brother, always there for me, always making sure that I was involved and, like, setting the standard for me, right? And so I all of a sudden got to a position. I remember the most, like, surreal moment was sitting in Zaxby's with you, Mom, and Dad, and I came over and I said, BJ, Vince Dooley just left me a voicemail. And you were like, what? And I was like, Dooley just left me a voicemail. And it blew my mind. I was able to interview Bobby Bowden, my freaking childhood hero. I was able to interview, I think I interviewed, like 10 or 12 ACC, SEC coaches. I remember us going down on one of the pull-up chairs. We went and hung out with Riley Skinner down in Jacksonville and, like, did a full-length interview with him. I mean, it was just so cool to go from being a fan as a kid and to being still a kid at 18 to 20 years old, going into all these football stadiums and going to these bowl games. I remember sent me up to watch Virginia Tech play Boise State in D.C. one time at a bowl game, and that was just, like, super cool. And just get a chance to interview all these guys and see the inner workings of college football and meet people like Ben. Like, Ben's a member of our family now, and it's just crazy to think that.
Well, you have 2003 to lord over his head, so that it made it easier to welcome him into the family, right?
Of course, yeah. I mean, we bring that up at Thanksgiving.
Nah, JT, what stands out? So many things. Me and BJ, we go on the journey. Want to write? We want to write a book, right? Want to write a book, and COVID happens, and everybody, we had to, like, change up everything. Even on the network, had a chance to kind of really, like take a break and really do it. And I remember, I was like, man, who gonna buy the book? Who gonna buy the book? And we sitting there, and you like, hey, man, I already got mine. You like, hey, where can I get it? You were the first one to get it, and it's almost like that. That's what makes things special. People say, yeah, man, you're an author now. I said, man, listen, man. I said, I'm directly tied to them business in so many ways, from living rooms, me, Mom, Papa B, Mama B, BJ, JT, Ugga. I'm sorry, Gugga, not Ugga, not Ugga. Gugga. I'm sorry, the G. But it's you can't fake the way you are. I mean, you're a genuine individual. The conversations we have, man, has always been incredible. And when it's when you read the book at me and BJ, like, you look like you're on a cliff. And you sitting there with your leg crossed reading the book, man. So I can't say thank you enough, man, for just you being you. Like, I call you JT Smooth for a reason. I said, listen, everything JT do is smooth, man. I mean, from how he father, how he parent, how he is a husband and son. So I just want to say, man, I appreciate it. I remember sitting up in a certain supermarket, you sitting there with the book, and we come up to you, take the picture, man. So I'm just saying, man, I appreciate you just being you, because that stuff goes a long way, especially when I don't have real expectations of what I wanted from the book of JT. Like, I got mine right now, and I remember seeing it. I said, this boy right here, and all I'm saying, all I can say is, you JT, Mama B, Papa B, y'all. And what can I say about y'all? Y'all are class acts, top to bottom. We can spend the whole show talking about it, but I got to say from the bottom of my heart, man, I appreciate it.
No, and I appreciate you, Ben, and I appreciate you too, Kevin, and being able to be involved in the station and be able to go in there, bring my daughter in there, and just, it'd be a big family environment. It's been awesome to watch y'all over the last 20 years. It's like, it's amazing. I've always been able to brag and say, yep, my brother's on the radio, and then best of luck going everything in the future. But it's always just been amazing to do the family shows. Come on there. I got to bring my daughter on the radio. She's a daggum natural. She's probably going to be on the radio too or something. Who knows? But it's always been amazing being able to come on and talk to y'all about anything.
Well, JT, I love you, man. I've always viewed you as the older brother. You're the more responsible one and the smarter one and the better one.
That's ridiculous.
Like Ben said, I'm proud of you as a man. I'm proud of you as a husband, as a father, and I'm proud of everything you're doing, Ingrid's doing, Bella's doing, and love you, man. Thank you, and we'll see you soon.
Yeah, man, I love you too.
There's JT, going way back, man. True. I think that is really cool about being here, is that it has been a family thing. really since the beginning. I mean, well, when we started it, none of us had like immediate families that were with us. We had moms and dads, but to see everybody grow and develop. And now, as like I said, you see kids running around up here, and you see kids turning the station off. You see kids getting us banned on social media. You get I think that was really not that part wasn't cool. I take the I take the brunt of that one, but I do think it's been a nice family group up here, and that's something that's certainly special. And I think Matt said it yesterday, where it's like, hey, what you see, or maybe business, what you see is what you get with us, and we try to be as authentic as possible, and we want our kids to like what we do and see what we do, and it's that was a really cool thing to let them come up here and do podcasts, if you will. I mean, like I said, we had I think my two boys did a podcast called Bro Talk, and they would go in the other room and record shows. I want to say
your liners after
your
liners,
two have been in there and recorded shows, so it's been a whole lot of fun stuff going on. And again, we got more to come still on the show. We got more to come even after the show, where the things are headed next. So we've got more to get to, some more special guests on the way. It's 3 and Out on the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Good to have you back here. It is 3 and Out on the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Glad to be part of your day, as I've said a number of times here on the show. We've had so many people who have reached out and talked about their time on the show. Our next guest, he tweets at us, I think, every single day. Our buddy Kent, who we've seen out and about in Savannah a bunch. And again, we get the tweets every day. Kent, man, I know you wanted to get in here and give us a shout, man. Welcome to 3 and Out.
Oh, thank you so much. It's Scoop the Doop. Oh, there you go for that with kids, right? I actually just found a picture of Ben signing for a soccer ball with Christian next to him. There you just got your Scoop the Doop. And one thing I remember about that day at Coach's Corner was just, and Ben and I had already been acquainted, and same thing with Kevin, and I'd seen Christian I think once, but just the relationship and how friendly you guys have always been, and making everything just kind of down to earth. And it's like you brought us right into your lives on the radio every day, and let us be part of what you had going on, and of course, as I said before with Ben, thinking about Mr. Olson who came on yesterday. And his ability just to call people, cold call, and get deals done. Well, I remember how scared I was the first time I called you guys. Actually, the first time I even tweeted for Ben about the Apex right angle helmet that we're trying to bring to the market, and then to call and ask for them, and it's like, who's that? And then to come on the radio, you guys have always just been so welcoming and so great. But I do want to share one issue here, Ben. Actually, I want to have a little challenge here, Ben. I think my Kentucky Wildcats are coming to the Swamp this fall, and y'all talking about Ben would never wear a Georgia uniform, but I want to challenge Ben. If Kentucky goes into your Gators, since you think that it's a two-sport school, it ain't a football school, dude. But so you wear Kentucky. If Kentucky goes into the Swamp and beats your Gators, what do you say?
I mean, if they go in and beat them, I mean, if I got to put on something Kentucky because it's you, I will go in a dark alley and take a picture with no. If Kentucky goes in and beats them, I mean, I will have to put on something Kentucky and say go Cat.
Everybody heard that. I know there's recordings. Thank you for accepting that challenge, guys, and BJ. I'm glad to hear you back on the air, man, and. Godspeed to each of the three of you all. Thank you for putting up with me on Twitter and just for being such good friends. And look forward to seeing you at the top. Thanks a lot, guys.
Hey, Kent, we really appreciate that, man. And I know we enjoy. You will, if we forget what we say, you will let us know. At the end of the day, Kent will tweet back at us a lot of what we say. And Kent, I have to say this on the last show. If you're ever feeling blue about Kentucky football, the greatest highlight in the Ben Troop era is featuring Kentucky football, where he gets schemed up on the kick return.
The game plan, I was supposed to play to get that. I was gonna be till I got knocked out.
What year was that? Was that in Lexington or?
No, that was at home. I think I want to say that was my sophomore year. No. That was my freshman year. I got that. I got that. They got me a little quick.
Who was that on the return? We've had him on the show talking about
it. Derek Abney.
That was Derek Abney.
Derek Abney coming up the right sideline, and Ben never saw that train.
I was going good. Like, is that you? Is that me? That was my junior year, I think, too. But I had on black cleats. Got decleated.
Thank you, Ken.
Thank you, Ken. We really appreciate it. One more hour to go here. It's 3 and Out, Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Good to have you back here on 3 and Out. Thanks for making us a part of your day. The final hour of the final show here on 3 and Out, which is, we got some stuff planned here, but a lot of thank yous to say as we head down the final hour. And I just want to start the final hour by saying thanks to Walker Jones, Mike Cuneo. I think when we started the show, he was like the first guy's like, let's do it. And has been a huge supporter of ours there at Walker Jones in Waycross, and appreciate Mike for all of his support over the years. And in on our Savannah station, Granger Honda, been with us pretty much from the jump, sponsoring 3 and Out. So those two folks, those two places, you couldn't have done the show without them believing in what we were doing and them being behind us. I know BJ and Ben will echo that, but the relationships, the friendships we've made with people there, great places, great folks. And I will say this because it's the last show. Go see those folks. They do a great job. For folks who are in South Georgia, Mike Cuneo, Walker Jones, tremendous people. They do a great job. And if you're in the Savannah area, Granger Honda, great folks again, and do a tremendous job. And they've been with us pretty much since the jump of 3 and Out, BJ and Ben. So I want to take a minute and thank those, because I know people say, you guys love Walker Jones. Yes, we do. You guys love Granger. Yes, we do. They've been great supporters of the show. And that's why you hear them a lot throughout the day when we are here on 3 and Out.
Yes, absolutely. Without, those folks, there hasn't been a 3 and Out. So Kevin, you're exactly right. Thank you so much. And we deeply appreciate the support.
Yeah. And again, there's so many people that have made the show, what it was, but those people are right there at the top from a support standpoint. So we got a lot to get to still in this hour. PJ Zuko going to step in, and you talk about growing and learning. PJ has facial hair. I still don't. I don't know what the heck's going on. I mean, it's PJ started with what, 16
yeah.
years old. A baby face, as we call him, PJ Zuko, comes up, and for years up until Ben started growing out, PJ was like the youngest one here and had the most facial hair of pretty much anybody here. And
he's been the facial hair standard,
that's true,
right?
Pretty much.
Thank you.
Well, I mean, somebody that I'm look at PJ's face, look at mine. I'm working on like 2 weeks. I've been trying to get the final show, even goatee going on. There's nothing there. So PJ has been able to do that. But yeah, PJ started out a high school kid, and so much goes on behind the scenes that people don't even know. Doing this job, BJ, Ben, everybody here kind of sees it, but the job that it takes to be a radio station 3 hours, not even 3 hours, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, takes a lot of people. And PJ has been kind of my right-hand guy for the whole time. So appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Thank you. Appreciate you too.
And PJ, man, let me ask you this, because to Kevin's point, I can't count the number of times, thousands of times, tens of thousands of times, where I've been up here and it's been me or just me and you, or, Kevin's been off doing something and I'm going, oh no, I don't know what that means. I don't know how to fix the board. I don't know how to fix the computer. Something in the back's gone wrong. And what's amazing is you're an incredible on-air talent. I know, listening to you on Second Down, and I know you guys have some news moving forward on that front that we're excited about in terms of future on-air opportunities for you. And your high school coverage has been incredible. Your college football coverage has been incredible. Everything you've done. But I know for me, and just in hundreds of different ways, I've had a major moment where I'm on the air and I'm like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what's happening in the log. I don't know what's going on. Lights are blinking, and I come and get PJ, and man, it's just such a calming presence. You walk in, and to Kevin's point is, for the vast majority of this, you've had multiple markets, you've had multiple logs, you've had multiple streams, multiple boards, a lot going on. And in addition to what you do on the air and have done on the air, which is incredibly significant and has been great, sometimes the easy part is over here, where we're just going, the Braves won 3-1. Austin Riley went 2 for 3, and you're doing things that I couldn't even begin to know how to do. I mean, what's the journey been like, going from, like Kevin said, I mean, a teenager where, you kind of started like me, where you come in wide-eyed and you're overwhelmed to now you've done everything, you can do everything, and you run things.
Well, I mean, thank you guys. I didn't expect all that, but I do have a lot to say. But especially if you're gonna ask me about the journey, man, because like you guys said, started in high school and as that like 1 year internship, and just with so much kind of going on, and y'all all, I mean, the journey was y'all. Y'all took me under your wing, and tomorrow marks 11 years since that started, actually. And all right, Christian, you've been a big part of that too, buddy. But tomorrow marks 11 years of that, and I can't thank y'all enough for y'all's impact on it. It's so many great times, of course, so many memories, like too much to count. But like Kevin said, you talk about growing, man. It's been a heck of a growing process, especially when you talk about 16 to 28. And then you talk about like your first real job and being able to be blessed with it for 11 years. And not only that, but to be able to work with people you care about, and people that care about you and got their back. You got their back and they got yours. And you talk about, you mentioned the high school thing, and that is something that I don't think I really got to formally say goodbye to. And you brought it up. So I'd love to be able to do that and just thank everybody who tuned in to any of those shows and any of those broadcasts. And it's so much fun doing that with Kevin, and at first with you, Matt. And I was in the back, right, for a while, and I got my first shot. Actually, like my first moment, I think everyone has their moment in radio where it's like, I think I get this. And my first moment was with a broadcast with you guys at Garden City Stadium, sitting outside. And I'll give a shout out to him as well, because I think he was a big part of it, and I enjoyed my time with him, but Carl DeMasi as well. And we were talking about some big high school games and whatnot, and I remember it clear as day. It was Stetson Bennett and the Pierce County Bears, and I started talking about them and a big game they had, and we came off the air, and that was the first time I felt like, man, I got that. And I looked at you, and you said the same thing. You said it before I could. But you guys were a big part of it in the sense of, you taught me as well, it's not about me. And that's the best part, is it's not about me. It's not about us, right? Like it's a lot of fun, and I'm very happy we get to enjoy what we do over the past, for y'all 20, for me 11 years. But to be able to kind of put some recognition on maybe some of those players that weren't going to get it, or we're going to get it, and be able to put them on the map, be able to talk to to some high school football coaches about their teams and everything like that, like big games. That's something I always cherish, and something that I always try to keep focus on it. And y'all taught me that. Y'all taught me, listen, sure, you get to have fun, but it's about who's listening, and it's about who you're covering. So I appreciate that. But man, again, like I said, like three and out, and you three guys have been such a huge part of that journey, and have been with me, obviously the whole time, been tucked under y'all's wing. And I know I don't want to take over this whole segment or anything, but like, I know I'm talking a lot, but man, if I could just, Ben, I know you hear it a lot, but man, you're just pure energy and pure passion and pure positivity. But at the same time, you'll tell anybody the straight truth, no matter what. And I love that. And I'll say this about all y'all, because I think it's the best compliment you can give somebody. And I think it's true about all three of y'all. You care and you love. And I know it's radio and whatnot, and when Ben Troop walks into a room, former NFL player, does all these great things and everything. When Ben walks into a room, he doesn't overlook anybody. And I know there's a lot of height jokes you can make there, but but man, he doesn't overlook anybody. He cares about everybody in that room. And I'll say that about every day here at this office as well. And those mornings like in the gym that we used to do, that was a heck of a time. And there were times too that like you would talk to me and you would help me through that day. There were times you were talking to other people and I just overheard what you were saying, and you helped me get through that day. So I'll never take for granted being able to get close to you and just just be your friend, man. And same thing with BJ, obviously. You know, both you and Kevin, it's been full 11 years. And, you know, there's several moments where, you know, I always remember coming on live with you for the first times on the drive. And I think it's like so many different gimmicks and conversation. I think at one point, my brother called in like acting as Batman or something on your show. It was hilarious, but it was so much fun. And I know Kevin, you might get a kick out of it, but like it's true. We talked about it several times. Like BJ has always been the person that people go to, you know, in the office when they're going through stuff. And you have always, of course, been that for me, and always ready to, you know, pour out knowledge or pour out your heart. No matter what that person's going through, sometimes you just let them vent. And I think that's important too. And that's not a quality, you know, that's not a quality anybody has. I just appreciate that. And something I'll always remember and appreciate too is the fact that you never kept me out of the loop. You know, like you guys said, I was a 16-year-old kid intern. And there were some changes going on then. You know, I didn't know where I was going, but you always kept me in the loop with everything that was going on. You always kept me stable and always listened to, you know, what I had to say, and I appreciate the heck out of that, and I love you for it. And again, you care and you love, and there's no doubt about that. And Kevin, I will I'll try and get through this without the waterworks too. But like you said, man, I've been tucked under your wing every day for basically the last 11 years, and everything I know about how this station operates, as you know, I don't have to tell you, but as you know, comes from you. I got a chance to do play-by-play a couple times over the past couple years, and even that, you know, every part of that was listening to you on Friday nights all those years. And, you know, I think one of the qualities I appreciate the most from you is, and no one up here will be surprised, but man, like, you work your behind off like crazy. One of the quotes from one of our favorite characters on TV is Ron Swanson.
Absolutely.
And it's never I always hear this. I always think of Kevin, and I always like. It's hard not to do this in radio because you have to do so many different things. But it's never half-ass two things, full-ass one thing. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that on air.
You just said
hey,
it.
Why not? And like, man, we obviously have to be very multifaceted, but what I kind of take from that is just whatever you're doing, whatever you got in front of you, put everything you got into it. And that is something that, whether it's working on the back room at 11:30 at night, some nights when neither of us want to be there, whether it's going and doing high school football broadcasts and doing cookout runs or whatever, or driving to North Jordan to do some basketball broadcasts that we did. I mean, the story goes on and on. There's so many different times where you and me were in a spot where, quite frankly, we wanted to be sometimes, we didn't want to be sometimes, but you were there. And even times where I couldn't make it, you were there, of course, keeping us on. And if I can work half as hard as Kevin Thomas, man, I'll make it just fine. That's always been one of my things. And the other part of it is I won't go too long on this, but there was a time a few years ago. It's not just about hard work either, because you care too. December 2018, I remember the day. I was going through a lot of rough stuff, and it was affecting my work, quite frankly. And you or Charlie pulled me into a room and just said, man, we can see it. What's going on? And I won't talk about everything that was said in that room or anything, but I've always appreciated that. And just the fact that y'all cared enough to pull me aside and talk to me about that was incredible. So anyway, I know I've taken up way too much, but you asked me about the journey, man, and
take all the time, because I'm not going to keep it together. I'm just being honest. I mean,
you asked me about the journey, and the journey has always been, yeah, it's fun that we do this, but it's a whole lot more fun that I get to do it with y'all, and I get to learn from y'all, and I get to spend every day with y'all.
Well,
so
I mean, I appreciate that.
Love you, man.
PJ, and again, I've just been the kind of guy, I'm never going to ask somebody to do something that I'm not willing to do. So that's just kind of how I am, and I appreciate all the kind words that we have. We have so much to get to in a short amount of time. We'll make sure we get to. I appreciate it. PJ Christian's handed me a note saying somebody wants to hop on the show. I guess, what's up? Let's go to the phones. Good afternoon. Welcome here. You're on 3 and Out.
Hey, guys. Hey, Kevin, it's Gary Wise. I just wanted to wish you guys the best of luck, man. I didn't know you guys were going off the air, but I want to say over the last, I don't know, at least 4 or 5 years, I don't know how long it's been, but man, y'all in my afternoon, man. I don't know what I'm going to do. And Kevin knows I got 500 kids on my bus ride every afternoon picking up kids and listen to you guys. Even my kids listen to you. So, but I want to wish you guys the best, man. Y'all are good people. Really enjoyed the show, and I wish all of you the best. And y'all about to make me cry.
Well, Gary, I want to say this because it'll make you and me both feel old because we go back all the way to the afternoon blitz some 20-something years ago, and I want to say that you may have been the first guy to win a prize off of me off the radio. So
I think I was. Me and my brother, we won Daytona 500 tickets that year. I remember that, and we had a blast. And hey, tell Ben I appreciate his book. I won a book too, and he autographed it, signed it, it's on my bookshelf. I did read that one, but the other 5 or 6 books I got on my bookshelf, I probably didn't read, but it looked good.
Hey, I appreciate you reading. I got the right 5. Well, no. BJ got the right 5 or 6 more. Maybe you can read those and wear them, and I appreciate it, sir.
All right, Ben. Y'all be good, man. Like my grandma said, y'all good people.
Hey, we appreciate it, Gary, and I'll see you at a ballpark somewhere down the road. But we appreciate that. And again, I know we're getting some comments online that people are, I guess, just tuning in to the fact we try to do this for a week. So basically, if you haven't heard and haven't found out, the station's going under new ownership. New ownership's changing direction. It's still going to be a sports station, just not with us. So that's all I want to say about it in this moment. But if you're just tuning in, that's what's happening. So the new guy has a show same time as us. That's simple math. That's how it works. We got so much to get to. Special guests coming up when we return. It's 3 and Out on the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Welcome back. It is 3 and Out here on the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. We wind down the final hour of the last show, but again, we'll move on to some other things where you can still have a chance to hear what we're doing out there in the world. It just obviously will not be on this radio station. It'll still be sports, probably a little less ESPN, but it will still be sports tomorrow, just without us on the air, and probably some other folks in the coming days that you're have become accustomed to listening to. But Ben, you want to have a quick note before we get to our special guest?
Yes, from my friend Ken LC Ben Judah at LC Ben Judah. He says nothing but respect and love, fellas. See y'all digital. Thanks for letting me share some airtime with some greats, including each of you, Semper Fidelis. He also said facts from PJ Zuko on ESPN Coast at Pigskin Radio at 3 and Out, saying what I could. PJ Zuko is saying what I couldn't get out on the phone about y'all's character. As a combat disabled veteran, I have daily struggles that can't find words. Y'all have helped me through plenty of afternoons. Love each of y'all. Christian too.
Hey, man, that stuff makes us feel good, and talked about that in the last week or so, and we've had a lot of special guests. I will say this. We've talked about, hey, are we going to keep it together? I have no problem keeping it together with our next guest, because while he was with us, he and I had an interesting relationship. Yep, it's producer Jim.
What does that mean?
Jim Johnson. What's up, my guy?
What's up? I mean, that's right. I would say, I think, Kevin, I'm impressed that after all our years together, you never hit me between the E-bombs and the seeds. Not one. And I probably deserved it.
That's why I don't miss Jim on the show. I'm just kidding. Yeah, Jim, I will say this, and I mean this in all sincerity, because you and I, we like to go at each other quite a bit on the air, off the air, about things we say and do. But I will say this, that Jim came along at a time that I think helped all of us out in a number of ways. Certainly, producer Jim was producing the show, editing Southern Pigskin, and doing a fantastic job at that time. And Jim, I will say this, you came along and said, listen, you guys are having fun, have more fun. Like, you sound like you're having fun, but you need to do more of it. And I think it was an added push in a direction from a guy at the time that was in, 2021? And I could have very well been like, listen here, son, let me tell you a little something about what. But I will say, I appreciate that. And that is one thing I will say, mad respect always to you, Jim, because you came to me, BJ, and Ben, and I know Ben didn't have as much radio experience, but you came to us and said, guys, you can do it better, and here's how we're going to do it. And I mean, for a 20-year-old kid to look at somebody at that time who had done 15 years of radio and say, I'm going to tell you what you need to do, that took some cojones, and it was at a time where it was much needed, man. And I appreciate you for it.
Well, I think that was a product of an environment that you guys fostered, because, I mean, yeah, I was 20 or 21 years old, but I walked into a place that I don't think a lot of places are like, where it was a pretty true meritocracy, and the best idea generally won out. So it take a lot for you guys to, A, be open to even listening to me and hearing me out, and then B, to try it and to continue to develop the show in that way, and not just the show, but Southern Pigskin. I mean, I had a lot of autonomy as basically a kid with very limited experience to, if I wanted to try a weird segment about making a Tinder profile or something on the show, I could do that. Or if I wanted to have on some, rock singer who had recently done a show in Savannah, y'all were open to do that interview. Or on Southern Pigskin, if I want to write about how Derwin James is like Russell Westbrook, or if I want to compare dynamic defensive end duos to dynamic duos in superhero movies, I was allowed to do that. I mean, BJ let me rank the top 100 Sunbelt players every year for like 5 years in a row. And so that's a credit to you guys being open to that.
All right, Jim. And I think one time you tried to do like the top 1,000, and we were talking about this. We talk about it all the time. You obviously did an incredible job with the show with Southern Pigskin. I think it's fair to say that for a stretch, you were the foremost expert on college football on earth. Do you think that's fair?
I don't know if I would say foremost expert. I'm always going to, probably cede that title to the guy who inspired me to do all that work, which is Bill Connolly at ESPN now. But I think I knew more about the Sun Belt for sure than anyone else on planet Earth, and at least as much, if not more, about the SEC and ACC. And as far as the Southern Conference goes, not even close.
And Jim, I mean, the thing about you is this. I mean, with everything you had to balance, you made it look easy. The hardest thing you had to do every day was a conversation that got started with you and BJ the night before that nobody was privy to, and y'all would just come in talking about it. BJ will start with, "You're insane. Like, do you mean to tell me?" And I think what it is once again, there are certain people that give you permission to be yourself. You were one of those people, and I will never, ever, ever get enough of the fact that the mind control you have over one PJ Zuko, because y'all would come. I don't know what it is with that bell, but you and him had a connection that only you and him could have. Man, I miss talking to you, man. You was one of the ones, Jim, and the fact that you came up with the formula, pure air, simply because BJ asked you to, that's crazy every time I think about it.
Yeah, I mean, all that stuff is really cool. And I know people see a lot of the cool, fun stuff that we got to do on air. But to your point, Ben, a lot of the stuff that I look back really fondly at was just stuff sitting around in the office or sitting in a car for 10 hours driving to Hoover, Alabama to SEC Media Days, or going to Charlotte for ACC Media Days, or going to a game somewhere in Florida or the Carolinas or whatever we happen to be doing, and just being together and enjoying each other's company. I think that's what I really most fondly look back at.
Well, Jim, to that point, I agree, by the way, but I still have like flashbacks to you and I arguing over the second offensive guard on the All-ACC team and us reaching an impasse where it's like, I'm not talking to you anymore. Well, I'm not talking to you anymore. And finally, I mean, it's amazing we got through that.
I mean, and I still think I was right. Wyatt Teller should have been that guy. And NFL career, it's borne that out.
Producer Jim, man, we appreciate it. Hey, we're going to have you pick some games with us because it is week one. So that's what we always enjoy doing. And week one starts tomorrow. So we'll go right to it. Georgia and Oregon. You want to start, BJ? Go ahead.
Yeah, I think Georgia's going to win this game comfortably. I don't know what the spread is, but maybe close for a half. I think Georgia probably wins by 14 plus, maybe 17 plus. Second half, the Dogs really pull away.
Dan Lanning, congratulations from getting the head coaching job in Georgia. Oregon, but you get to see what it's like to coach against the Dogs in a big way.
Jim, who you got?
I'm excited. I'm going to be going up there. Actually, my girlfriend and I and a couple of our friends, I'm going to be seeing my first game ever as a fan in Mercedes-Benz. And I think the Dogs win by like 20, 28, 30 something. Comfortable.
I like Georgia. I'm going to say Georgia by like 17 with some points late there over Oregon. All right, fellas, LSU and Florida State, that's Sunday night.
There seems to be kind of an energy towards Florida State in this game. I think Florida State is better. I don't know if they're quite ready at the line of scrimmage for LSU. Plus, you got to guard Kayshon Boutte. Close game. I think LSU by a touchdown in the end.
Man, I think this is going to be a big one for LSU. Obviously, Brian Kelly starting out, his tenure at LSU. But I think something crazy happens. I think Brian Kelly kind of overthinking, kind of like a Scott Frost type thing. I got Florida State winning in the upset against LSU by a field goal.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Florida State. I think by the thinnest of margin, something weird late, a defensive play, a special teams play, something late, and Florida State pulls it out by a field goal.
Biggest upset of the weekend so far. Jim has a girlfriend.
No response, Jim?
Right.
Love you, Jim.
All right, fair enough. I'll take that, Christian.
Jim, I just want to know real quick, though, are you still growing the hair out?
Oh, yeah. Well, it's not as long as the last time you saw it, but I got some flow. I got a little flow.
All right, we move forward. We got Florida and Utah. Nice game there on Saturday night.
I'm torn, Ben. I know you're not going to be able to watch it. I think it's going to be a great game. Close in the end. Give me. Cody says she lives in Canada. Give me Utah by a field goal.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a really, really good game. I think it's going to come down to quarterback play. Even though I think Utah's quarterback, Rise, he coming in with the most momentum, I can't even get it out right now because I'm thinking about my Gators. I will still go with Utah by a touchdown. I think they just got too much firepower.
Yeah, I got Utah because I have them in the playoffs. So if they lose to Florida, that kind of takes a hit, doesn't it? Jim, who do you got?
No, I hate to do it to you, Ben, but I'm going Utah too. I think they might be a playoff team as well, Kevin.
Hey, oh my God, we had to get to the last show for me and Jim to agree on something. All right, Arkansas, Cincinnati.
Arkansas is legit. Cincinnati lost a lot from last year. Still a good program. I think Arkansas wins going away.
KJ Jefferson, you might want to watch out for that name. He might end up having the best stats in the SEC this year at quarterback. Give me Sam Pittman and them Arkansas boys.
Yeah, quarterback plays the difference. Desmond Ritter's gone, a Falcon now. Got KJ Jefferson back. Give me Arkansas.
Yeah, I'm going to go Arkansas. I think Cincinnati plays it very close, given all they lost, but give me Arkansas in a victory. And finally, Ohio State and Notre Dame, fellas.
Yeah, great game. I think the line's a little much. I think it'll be closer than that, but I'll take Ohio State to win straight up.
If Bryce Young and company got the best offense in the SEC, I mean, C.J. Stroud and Ohio State got the best offense in the country, I think Ohio State is going to have their way with the Notre Dame boys.
I saw the other day in a press conference, the Notre Dame's beat writers asked their head coach, was Marcus Freeman, I think, asked him what he thought about the line. It's like 16 or 17. And Freeman was like, oh, we're going to have to talk about that in our team meeting today. I can only assume that's because he's going to encourage his players to use that NIL money and bet on the Bucks, who are going to win by like 25.
Oh, Jim, I always love it. Hey, I'm going to go Ohio State as well. I don't know if it's by 17. I think it's a little closer than that, but give me Ohio State. I'll say by 10 at the end of the day.
Hey, man, love you. Thanks for everything. Couldn't have done what we've done without you on all fronts, and glad you're doing well. Good to hear from you, my friend.
Love you guys. Thank you so much.
Jim Johnson, otherwise known as Producer Jim, joining us here on the final 3 and Out. We've got more to come. It is 3 and Out all across the Southern Pigskin Radio Network.
Welcome back to 3 and Out. 13 minus 50, 47. Deal with it. Look, there are certain times that there are certain people that come on this show that need no introduction. I mean, we've heard it all. I mean, Jim Johnson. I mean, you're talking about JT Smooth, Coach Ron Zook, but nobody compares to my next guest. The elegant, the wonderful, the boo thing. We are talking about Mrs. Amy Thomas. What's going on with you there, Amy?
Just sitting here enjoying this last show.
Amy, listen, the floor is yours. You can say whatever you want to say. Have at it.
I don't know. I thought you were going to ask me questions.
I was saying, let me do it this way. I have had the privilege of working with Kevin Thomas. And I think what happens is sometimes you get a chance to really, this show doesn't make it so that you can hide who you really are because we're around each other all the time. But the one thing I can get, and I'll tell you this, I told you the same, I said, the one thing I try to do with Kevin, I try to get Kevin to laugh all the time. I'm trying to say something right before we come back from break to make Kevin mess up. And the thing is, Kevin has never told me to not do it. Kevin has never said, man, don't do that, don't do that. It's like him welcoming me to just be me. But I've only got to know Kevin. The first time I ever met BJ and Kevin, which we'll get to, first person I seen was Kevin. Kevin was doing the show over there. And I know it to be Gary and Sharon. I thought it was Garen and Sharon. That's just how I thought it was being pronounced. But Amy, we know the man, you know the myth. So just tell us.
Please lie, son. That'd be great.
But 20 years, some years is a long time, you know. But here we are with the last show, man. The floor show. I mean, how would you describe the journey that you've seen this man go on as far as like really the heart and soul of this entire network?
It's definitely been a lot of work. There's definitely been lots of, oh crap, I got to run and fix this because something's falling apart. I watch way more sports than I even thought possible.
Yeah, you do. I'm just kidding.
I mean, I even had like on Saturdays, college football turned on when he would have shows and wasn't at home. I'd have it on. I was like, what the heck am I doing? I don't want to watch this. And then, of course, the Braves. I mean, obviously, we love baseball in our house, given by the fact that everything we do revolves around baseball most of the time. But it's been fun to watch him. I mean, I think he's pretty daggone awesome. I mean, he's mine. So
at the end of the day, hers is the only opinion that matters anyway, right?
Right.
Well, that's not an opinion, though. I mean, opinions are usually things that can't be, backed up by facts. And I think what you said can be backed up by facts when you hear the PJ Zucos, when you hear the Jim Johnson, you hear the Christian Gocares, our own, our Mark Douglas is here. But the thing about it, like you say, you see it all though. Like we get the 6-7 hours a day. But it never turns off. People think radio, all he does is talk on the radio. You go, no. Because he has, how have you really saw his balance? Because he's a husband first. He's a father first. But this thing just never stops. I mean, how many times was it, Kevin, where you going? Are you going to tower number 6? I am, and I'll be back. Because you realize there are skill sets, right? And there's Kevin Thomas. This joker skill. Kevin know about this stuff in the back. They don't even let me near the board. Why? Because they want the show to go on. I ain't messing with it. But just talk about the fact that how his ability to be able to balance it all and not drop anything in the process.
I mean, that's definitely a talent.
I drop stuff. She'll let you know.
Stop. Oh, that's okay. I tell you what you drop. I don't need to tell everybody else what you drop. No, I mean, it's definitely a lot of hard work. Like I said, it's and there's definitely juggling a lot of things. Bouncing all over the place. At the end of the day, he's getting to do what he loves doing. And are there parts about it that are not always the greatest? Sure, but that's with any job. But he gets to do what he loves to do. And so that's what the most important thing is that he's gotten to do that. And we've had lots of really cool opportunities over the years to get to go to different events. And of course, I look even tinier next to everybody every time we have ever gone to an event. I mean, I was like half the size of a basketball player at one of the Hawks events we went to. But I mean, he loves it and he's really good at it. So it's been fun to get to watch him do what he enjoys doing.
And you know,
I'm gonna be at home a lot now, so she can be all up in here.
But I got to ask this before we let you. God definitely has a sense of humor. This is how you know. Y'all have 2 children. Both of them are boys. Both of them love baseball. Both of them love Georgia Tech. Both of them love the Braves. And how much, I don't want to say easy, but how much, satisfying is life knowing, look, we all going in the same direction once we leave here. Because I always joke with Kevin. I said, Kevin, if you would have got a little girl, I could just see you in the tutu headed over to the beauty pageant. Because Kevin, listen, I will say this, before a lot of times, man, you think you only gonna see a person for what they do on the radio, but I see the way he is with you. I see the way he is with Red. I see the way he is with, Eli. That's what I'm gonna take the most, man, because a lot of times too, man, most men, they turn it off. Kevin will say, Kevin, in between the break, man, put your stuff on. Kevin be calling me Mr. Ben in front of the kids. Don't be calling me Mr. Ben. It's too late. But I gotta say, Amy, man, y'all a class act, man. A lot of times people don't get a solid marriage as well as a two parents that love being together and being parents. So y'all model a lot, way more than we give y'all credit for. So I want to say to you, I appreciate you being authentic. I appreciate you lending us, Kevin T every day, man, because I know it ain't easy, but you balance it well. And, at the end of the day, man, I mean, I appreciate, something we talked about before the show, what you going to do for me. And the fact that you ain't going to take my money, I appreciate that, Amy. That's what makes you you.
And I will say this. I'm not going to get it all out on the air, but I love you, and I'm going to leave it at that because I will not make it through to get to the end of the show. So I'm going to leave it at that, and we'll take a break, and we'll come back. It's 3 and Out on the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Welcome back to 3 and Out. Kevin, BJ, and Ben, the final segment of the show. And again, not enough thank yous that we can hand out there, but we're going to try. And we're going to try to keep it together as we come down the stretch and thank as many folks as humanly possible. And Ben, I guess we'll start with you here on 3 and Out.
I got to say this, man. You know, when you do what I do for a living every day, your identity is always in one thing. And man, I answered the phone call. I answered the email one time in 2009. It was a dude named BJ Bennett. And I reached out to him and I came to Brunswick. And I said, man, how'd you do that? He said, how you do what? He did his thing with his voice on the radio. And I was like, dude, I think I could do that. And I ain't think much of it, man. I ain't think much of it. You know, country boy like me. I didn't know BJ's whole story. Then I meet Papa B, Mama B, JT, everybody. And I see this dude named Kevin. Then I stay in contact with BJ and I say, hey, man, you think I can come on your show every week? He said, yeah, man. You know, you come on, you call it Troop Talk. And I ain't think much of it. Because, you know, my identity is wrapped into being an athlete. And I always say this, and a lot of my present life is tied to my previous life. A lot of things in my life now had to do with in the past. God was getting me ready for what my life was going to be. And I didn't know it was going to be this. I didn't know it was going to be this. And I tell people this all the time. I said, man, I thought that my life could never get better than what I did when I played football. And I don't think about football no more because, man, y'all the best. Y'all the best. And, you know, I ain't have a lot of friends growing up. So, you know, what me and BJ have is hard to describe. You know, BJ told me, he said, your friends don't patronize you. They tell you the truth. And, you know, I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it. Then I walk in this building and I meet this dude named Christian. And, man, I see this dude, man, good-looking dude with his hair. I say, oh, hell, gotta deal with this. And then Christian really tell me how me and him are bonded together. Then I meet PJ. And PJ told me how we was bonded together. And then one time I had a dinner. It was me, BJ, and Mark. We was at Wild Wings. And Mark told me, you know, Ben, when they said they was going to hire you, I did not want you on this network because I thought you was a former, I didn't want to deal with it. He apologized to me. And he said, you know, BJ told me if they fire you, they can fire him. He said they could put it on the line. And then I asked, appreciate Jim and everybody came through here. I appreciate the type of men y'all are. But then I asked, but then BJ got sick. He was gone for 2.5 months. And I really, really got to know Kevin. Like I really, really got to know Kevin in them 2.5 months, man. And I appreciate y'all because I'm telling you, y'all are rare people, man. When people ask me about y'all, they say, Ben, what is it like with Kevin and Christian? What is it like with BJ and PJ and Mark? I said, man, they $2 bills, man. They rare, but they spend the same, man. They are the rarest of the rare. But I say this, it don't matter. It's not about where I work. It's who I work with. And when I think about y'all, I'm going to say the same thing. I said this before. My life would have been all right being all right. My life would have been just fine being just fine. And I said, God, man, why you give me people like this? He said, because, man, I give you what you need, man. I give you what you need. And BJ Bennett, Kevin Thomas, I needed y'all, man. And I just needed y'all. I need y'all because the hardest thing I had to learn is to be myself all the time. And y'all never told me to be somebody different. And I appreciate y'all, man. The radio is how I got introduced to y'all, man. That's just our introduction. I know y'all families. I know y'all wives. I know y'all children, moms, dads. And I just want to say, man, I love y'all with everything in me. I know this is not the end. I know it's just the beginning. But I appreciate y'all, man, because at the end of the day, man, like I told Ron, there's two kinds of people, man. There's people that's hard to forget, and there's people that's easy to remember. And y'all both for me. So for my family, all of them, for my children, thank y'all, man, because I'm telling y'all, you know, Superman, man, you know, Clark Kent, you know, Superman, same dude, man. BJ, you are my Superman. Kevin, you are my Clark Kent. Christian, man, you are my, you know, younger brother. PJ, you my Italian bully pit bull. And Mark, you know, big man for life, man. And I just want to say to y'all, man, I thank God for y'all. I cannot express to y'all how much I appreciate y'all. You know, love isn't what you say, it's what you show. I hope y'all felt the love, man, because there were days in my life, man, I could not do it. But y'all gave me something I didn't have, man. And I thank God for making another fool out of me, man. I thought this was just going to be radio. It was so much more than radio. I would do whatever for y'all. Whatever, man. And like I said, man, I appreciate y'all. I thank y'all. I love y'all, man. And, you know, looking forward to bigger and better.
I don't know how much I'm going to be able to get out, but I love you, man. You're my brother. You know that. Everything you say, I echo the same thing. You and Kevin are great men. You've been great influences on my life. Thank you guys for everything. I can tell you more off the air. I'm obviously not handling this as well as you are, but y'all are heroes to me. Y'all are leaders to me, and I appreciate and love all y'all. Christian, PJ, Mark, y'all know that. Want to thank my wife, my kids for all they've done, and just want to thank the listeners. Thank you so much. It's been an honor.
Yep, I will echo what everybody has said. You know, I started off as a 21-year-old, 22-year-old kid, didn't know nothing about nothing, you know, and got my first radio show. And I think the day one after the show, somebody's like, "Who is this guy? He stinks." And that was called constructive criticism. And you learn from that and you move forward. And again, through ups and downs, highs and lows, you come on the show and your job is to entertain. So I know personally the days we've all had where Ben, BJ, Christian, whoever, the highs and lows, you come on to my, and that's the first thing I tell everybody that's done the show. Mike comes on, there ain't a bad day. Sometimes it's a bad day, but there ain't a bad day when the mic comes on. And you have to go out there and do that. And I will say, through all the other stuff that I have to do in my daily, because a lot of people know it's not that work here. I appreciate everything everybody has said. I don't do what I do so people will pat me on the back. My wife will say that. She's like, "You don't take credit for stuff." I don't want to. I do the job that's asked. And no matter what happened in my day for 22 years, no matter how crappy Monday was, whatever, that mic comes on, that's the best part. Outside of spending time with my wife and kids, best part. Why? Because I'm entertaining people. I get to talk to you. I get to tell people what I think. And you can choose whether you like it or not. And I say that from the bottom of my heart. I say it every day on the show. Thank you for making us a part of your day. Because that's a choice. That's a choice. You can go listen to somebody else, and tomorrow you can listen to somebody else. But the last week or two of just personal texts, notes, thoughts, again, all the stuff about, hey, you did this. No, the best part is I enjoyed what you did. I listened all the time, and I look forward to you and Ben and BJ coming on the show and talking. That I can't even put into words what that means. Because you can do 100 other things. 100 other things. As Ben said, it's not the end. There's other opportunities for us out there, and there's other things that we're going to do. But I would be lying if I didn't tell all of you that I will miss sitting in this chair behind this microphone and getting to talk to whoever's listening on any given day. And I hope we made you laugh. Hopefully we made you think. Hopefully you're not a blubbering mess like we are right now. I hope that's what it is. But I appreciate everybody that's been a part of the journey. Folks I know have been listening to the show when it was a kid out of Valdosta State didn't know nothing, and I was doing the afternoon blitz. And to evolve from one station to two to now we're three, up and down the coast, talking sports with, as people said, your friends. That is something you don't get to do. And that is something I never took for granted, because I've had several people ask me about this and the journey through this and the longevity of it. And I said, you know, when it's been said, when God puts something in front of you, you have to enjoy it for what it is, because there are people that do this. Go on Twitter. I've been looking at Twitter. It's amazing the number of people in this industry who are giving it up every day, getting fired, moving on, whatever. to do this job for 22 years. People don't get to do that. They just don't. And so I'm very fortunate that I've had the ability to stay on as long as I have, talk to as many people as I have, all the way back when I started covering Kwame Brown to now we're talking about, guys like Luke Kromenhoek who are going to go play in college football in a couple of years. I mean, these are all the people that I've had the privilege from the start to now to go up there and do it. So for everybody that's in this room with me right now, I mean, y'all are it, man. This is a family. I try to explain that to people, and they don't get it. People go to work, and they say, why don't you tell them to, stick it where the sun don't shine? I was like, because you don't understand what we got up there. I will do anything for any of these people in this room. And I'll continue to do that. And I'm glad for the opportunities, that we are going to have. And you just don't get that everywhere. And I think that's why it's sad for us to be moving on, because we truly love doing it. We appreciate you guys for giving us that opportunity to do it. And it was our passion, and it was, our joy to come on here and do it every single day and do it with people you're friends with. You can't replace that. We're going to try, but you can't replace that. So there are things out there. I will encourage you to go southernpigskin.com. Keep your eyes open for things that we're going to do there and continue more focused passion of what we're going to do. So from the deepest bottom of my heart, thank you so much for listening every day. Even if you didn't listen every day, if you listen for 5 minutes once a week, I appreciate it. Appreciate you taking time out of your day to do that. And now I will just say, the only thing when I thought about what I want to say, I'm going to say what my dad told me when he retired from his job. There's nothing left to do but go. And we appreciate it, and we love you. This is 3 and Out, and we'll see y'all down the road.